top five.
Yeah, girl, you ready to do this? You ready to count this thing down? We're doing the top 5, heard? Yeah, let's set it off with 1, 2, 3, 4.
Are you guys ready for some podcasting?
Ready to rumble!
Oh, you should be the announcer, Nivala.
I like the air horn that you had going.
There we go. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to Ranked Top 5 List of Stuff That Don't Matter. I'm your host, Tuong Law, and can you believe it, everyone? Can you believe it? Can you feel it in your bones? Ranked and the PodCavern is 3 years old today. What? Oh my goodness. Stop it.
We did it.
Let me just get off my soapbox here and get on this other soapbox. It's so exciting. Another year of just all the podcasts in the world. And we like to kick off every single birthday of the PodCavern by doing just an annual tradition, which I will introduce in a second. But because it's our birthday, we decided to bring a new member. We have new members everywhere in the PodCavern.
Only one of us is new?
Yeah. So across from me is not a new member, actually.
I've been here
We
before.
have Nivala Maharaj.
Thank you.
Hey,
thank you,
Nivala.
Thank you. Oh, thank
Happy
you.
birthday, Nivala.
Thank you. Not for a couple of months, but thank you.
Nivala, thank you for being on the cast.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a long time. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, what was the last one? Rom-coms?
We did rom-coms and then we also did Talking Tongue, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been a while.
Well, okay, yes. It's been how long?
A while.
Well, Nivala, we're so happy to have you here to talk about this very important topic, which I haven't introduced yet. But people already probably know what it is because they hit play on the episode.
See, here's what you need to do. You need to do mystery titles.
Mystery titles that it only reveals itself once I introduce. I don't know if I have the technology.
I feel like that'd be a cool thing. It should happen.
Well, maybe the person beside you can program it. I don't know.
Well, beside me to my left, I've got the strapping Scottish athletic lad, Doug MacKendrick.
Wow,
and I can't do a
Doug.
Scottish accent. I'm so sorry.
Oh, Doug
That
MacKendrick.
was the nicest thing anyone's ever said.
Hello,
to me.
Douglas MacKendrick.
Both strapping and athletic. That never happens.
Doug, you don't sound Scottish at all.
No, I'm not. I have background,
Yeah.
not from. I mean, how many generations Canadian? The people don't keep their accents multi-generation, but I mean, you can see it in the beard.
Yes.
No one listening to this can see it in the beard, but there's a beard.
It's a strapping beard.
Yeah.
It's mostly
really
due to
is.
laziness is what it comes down to. Better like month long and then I trim it. So
Well, thank you for being on the podcast and finally taking me up on this invite.
I'm very excited. The fact that I didn't know it was a 3-year thing, so now I'm even more nervous because this seems like a big one.
It's a big deal.
man.
And I'm okay now because I've only said 3 sentences, but once it gets down
Once you
and
do
have a
more
few drinks, it's
sentences,
going to be...
hey, man, it'd be
sentences
great.
are hard. They turn into paragraphs, essays. It's a whole
fine.
thing.
You're good.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah.
accepting my invite. You didn't have to kill the owl I sent, but it's, I expect a new animal pet.
Is that the caliber of jokes we're going to be dealing with tonight?
Yes. Oh, no, I don't want to talk about that. Doug, one more guest.
Okay,
across from
the
you.
other new member, Mel Moshi.
Excited to be here.
Mel, sounds like Yoshi. We already made that joke. It's not as good.
I wasn't going to
I
make
think it's
it.
great.
It's
I think
like
it's good.
Yoshi with an M.
I wasn't going to say it. It felt wrong. You said
Mel,
it anyway, Tongue.
I did say it. Mel, what's your favorite Mario character?
Obviously, it's Yoshi.
Is it Yoshi?
Yeah,
Is it
of
really?
course,
Yeah.
of course.
And what's your favorite? What's your impersonation of Yoshi? Can you do an accent? Just the way Doug does his Scottish accent.
What does he do? What does he do?
It was so good.
Is he the one that goes really high pitch, like, oh,
Yes, let's go with that.
Okay.
I think I can
Let's
do
go with
one.
that.
You can do
Okay,
one?
I feel like
go
I
for it.
can. I
Let's
feel
go.
like I haven't done it in a while, though.
Hey, man, it's okay.
Just go for
You're
it.
like 10 beers deep. You got this.
Oh, yes. There we go.
yeah.
That's what I was aiming
That's,
for.
really, really good. We should instead do top 5 like sound bites, like who can do the best like sound bites.
That's all
from,
I
like, a
got.
video
I should
game.
just leave that.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Because it's PodCavern's birthday, we are doing top 5 movies of 2019. Wow. Now, you may have noticed we have some regulars that are not on this podcast. Leslie Chair, P. Taylor Fleming. We have all these people that used to be on this movie's podcast, but we got rid of them. Screw them. It's the new age of PodCavern, baby. We have Yoshi in the house. We have a Scottish person, and we have Nivala, who's already been here before. But I'm very excited to talk about this topic. I personally have been nonstop watching movies for this podcast. It's been a roller coaster for me. Up until like 20 minutes ago, I was like just knocking out movies after movies. How has the movie binging been for you guys?
It's been a great motivator.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you always say, I'll do it before the Oscars. Yeah, I'll get to it. But then you never get to all of them. But this was a great push where, it just has to get done.
Yeah, I think that's why I like the podcast in general, is because it always forces me to do like a thing. Like I watched a bunch of rom-coms for the rom-com episode. But yeah, it makes me spend less time with loved ones. But hey, they can watch me watch movies.
So you can just watch them with your loved ones.
That's right. Yeah.
Michelle joined me in almost all of them, except our lovely date to one movie. But
yes,
Michelle was there for all. It was a bit aggressive of a timeline in my mind. I would watch them all before the Oscars. A bit too aggressive. I was watching a lot in the last 2 weeks. It was a bit overwhelming.
Blame the Oscars. Let's blame the Academy.
Yes, 100%.
You can blame them for a lot of things.
But usually the Oscars are in February, is from what I remember.
Yeah, but they need the deadline and just like for it to come in by
late
December.
February. Sorry, late February.
In
for the
order for it to be
movies, yes.
considered for an Oscar.
Exactly.
Like
So
for
this year the
award season.
Oscars are it's like early
It's
February.
like February 2nd, I
Yeah,
think.
exactly.
Yeah.
Or I think
Or
the week
8th
doesn't
or
matter. It's
whatever.
like the
I
week
don't know.
after. It's not.
Still early.
I don't know.
Anyways,
it's
sooner.
soon. It's soon.
Sooner,
Yeah.
yeah. But that's why we watch so many movies, and it's been a great time. It's been a great time. I love sitting on my ass. Now, let's talk about ground rules, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Obviously, the movie had to come in 2019. That's a good ground rule. Oh, no.
Shucks, man. I picked
Shawshank
3.
Redemption. Air Bud.
when did Citizen Kane come out?
The other thing is I'm saying I want to differentiate, because we just did a movies episode. We just did top 5 movies of the decade. And I think people might be surprised on how our list might be different than movies of the year. And I kind of want to talk about why it might be different. When we did the top 5 movies of the decade, it really became like top 5 influential movies of the decade. What made the biggest impact in the movie industry. Whereas I think like this episode every year is just like, what is the movie that we just liked best?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then we just talk about that. So the other thing I want to lead into is, for me, any movie that I nominated for top 5 movies of the decade, I will not nominate for this episode, just to spice things up. And I hope you guys do, though.
Even if you really enjoyed them?
Yes. I just hope you guys do. If not, I will be a sad boy by the end of this for sure. We also want to bring up one last thing, is spoilers. We talked about this a little bit, and I think it's okay to do spoilers, but let's talk about, when we talk about these movies, we don't have to go directly into spoiling that yet. Let's save that maybe for the second half of the episode.
Sure.
If we need to spoil something to like make a point, I think that could definitely, if it could help your argument, then let's spoil away. But let's just not spoil for the sake of spoiling, right?
Cool.
Yep.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
Everyone
Great.
good here?
Yeah.
All right, can we get some air horns, please? Okay, just like every episode of Ranked, we're going to go around the table 3 times, nominating 3 nominations each, making a master list of 12 and whittling that down into a top 5 list. I'll go first.
Thank you.
My first nomination here, I've talked about this in a couple, if you follow the PodCavern, which I know everyone at home does, every single show that we've ever had, then this might not come as a surprise. My first nomination is Taika Waititi's Jojo Rabbit.
What? No way.
I can't tell if this is a real reaction.
There is no shock.
Yeah, I love Jojo Rabbit. For me, I think it's my favorite Taika Waititi movie. I like all of his movies.
Yeah.
Before that, it was Hunt for the Wilder People that was really struck home for me. But for this one, I just the entire ensemble is just so good. It's so funny. It's heartbreaking, but it also warms your heart, and it's uplifting at the end. It has all of the emotions wrapped up in this tight package that is less than 2 hours long, and it's it's just perfect. Taika Waititi's like Hitler is so funny
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
movie,
Yeah.
and really like whenever they have like a somber moment or like some things get serious or like let's just throw Hitler in this scene and everything will be okay. In case anyone doesn't know, it's about a German boy and his love for Hitler and Nazis in general, and how his mother is hiding a Jewish girl in the attic, and then the movie snowballs from there. What do you guys think about the movie?
I loved it. You can't go wrong with Taika Waititi.
I know.
I always mess up his last name.
We're on a first name basis. Just call him Taika.
T-Dog.
I don't know. He just has like such a really great way of just bringing everything to life in not a whimsical way, but a very like lighthearted type
Yes.
whimsical way.
Wonderful
like, it's very,
sense of humor. Yes, yes.
Tough thing to do given that type of topic
Yeah.
too, right?
Oh, so difficult.
Yeah.
He pulled it off.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think the biggest thing for me, because it was on my list within easily, I think, top 5 or top 10 for sure. But just the fact that the range of emotions, right? Usually a lot of these movies will have one structure and they're able to nail it down, but this was all over the place in terms of the way they want you to feel, and they really captured it with throwing in, you're right, like the lightheartedness and the comedy when it gets darker and somber, but like they really were able to pull you in whenever they wanted you to, with whatever they wanted you to feel, and I thought it was awesome. Really hard to do too, especially being a Nazi movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just so goddamn funny, and every single actor in there just really makes that movie come to life. I mean, I was thinking about Scarlett Johansson, of course. Like her acting in that movie like made me. I always liked Scarlett Johansson,
Yeah.
but she was really good in this movie.
Yeah.
She just drew me in, like something about it. I just loved it, and I'll put this out there that it was the biggest gut punch of 2019. I think that one scene. Oh
we will
my
talk about
God.
that. Will
Oh my
definitely
God.
be
Yeah.
in spoilers on the second half.
Yeah.
But we'll move on. Nivala, what do you got as your first nomination?
Well, I'm going a little bit like off the charts.
I love it.
here
I love
I'm
it.
gonna go.
because
It's funny.
Interesting.
Before
I
you say anything, Nivala, Laura's like, Nivala could be the wild card of the entire bunch. She could like nominate, like she didn't say this, but I was saying like Nivala can nominate like a Tyler Perry movie.
I could. Okay, this is a real like off the kilter
man.
one.
First nomination.
Dora and the Lost City of Gold.
god!
I'm telling you guys,
Okay,
it's the live action Dora movie.
Oh my
Okay.
god!
Come with me on this ride.
Okay, your first nomination is Dora. Let's just be clear.
Started off strong.
like Dora the Explorer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
Live action.
I had a hard time convincing Tuong to go see this movie.
I did not see it.
It was actually really enjoyable. So it's a live action version of Dora. She's not the 4-year-old anymore. She's
Oh.
about 16, and her parents are like, you can't live in the jungle anymore. You have to go experience real life.
Love it. Nice.
So she moves in with her cousin Diego and her aunt and uncle, and then she ends up getting kidnapped and then sent
she get
back
swiped?
to the...
By Swiper?
Not quite.
Okay.
Not quite. And then she ends up getting back to the jungle, and she's with her friends, and she's like, oh my goodness, I got to get to
Animal
my
friends,
parents.
right?
No, her actual friends, like
Oh,
that she
okay.
made.
I just assumed animal
yeah.
friends.
And then anyways, they end up having to try to go through this entire like scavenger hunt really to find her parents, and it's a really great fun movie. It's not anything now, it's not a cinematic masterpiece and that it's going to be nominated for multiple awards, but it's
you
just
really loved it.
Yeah, it's really enjoyable. There's a lot of really fun moments in it. They make fun of how Dora would stare at the TV and be like, can you say orange? And then 5 minutes later you're like, orange. There's a really good cast. There is
Michael Peña's in it,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
he's
Really?
hilarious. Yeah.
He is great.
Yeah, and then there's Eva Longoria, Eugenio
Wow.
Derbez, Jeff Wahlberg makes his debut, which is Mark Wahlberg's nephew. He clearly has the acting genes from the family, but it's something that I would recommend. Like, definitely give it a try.
right.
Isn't Benicio del Toro in this movie as
He's in
well?
it too?
Yes, I think so.
I think, isn't
I'm
he
pretty
Swiper?
sure.
Isn't he Swiper
Yeah,
the Fox?
yeah, he is. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I knew
it's
you would
just-
do this.
I'm telling you, it's just so fun. And it's just like, it's
Hey,
cute.
power
It's
to you.
it's
That's
cute.
awesome.
It's really great.
I love that.
I'm a fight for Dora, okay? It was a really good movie.
I love that you're going in with your heart right
Yeah,
off the
me
bat
too.
here. That's great.
Yeah.
Doug,
I think it's, to my knowledge, one of the first movies going from animated to live action. So it's going to have a lot of impact
Yeah.
in the movie industry. I don't think that's ever
Yeah.
been done before.
It really hasn't, to that scale. It's
Yeah.
just like-
to your credit, Nivala, I have heard really good things about this movie, which
Yeah.
has shocked me. Like everybody who's seen this Dora movie, the first thing they say is like, it's not that bad.
yeah.
That shouldn't be the criteria for a good movie, that it's not terrible.
Yeah, but apparently it's like it's not that bad. It's pretty good. Is the like common thing that I've heard.
I tend to like a lot of children's movies, and I would say that this is a really good one. Like it's out
Okay.
of the box. It doesn't follow the same pattern of stories that all the other shows
I
tend
love
to
it.
do
All right.
these
Yeah.
days.
Great.
I'm feeling it.
Doug, what's your first children's movie?
Oh, so many. No, I don't think mine's going to be any surprise. I think it wouldn't surprise me if other people had it in their top 3 or top 5. It's definitely going to be Parasite.
Yep.
Just it's one of those movies. I think for me, when watching movies and after you watch it, either wanting to see it again right away or just sticks with you for days and weeks until you see it again. That's what's happening with Parasite. Like I still haven't seen it again yet. It actually comes out DVD. I like supporting the industry at times, buying the movies, and that comes out in a couple of days. 100% buying it right away, watching it again. Just it messes with your head. It throws you through hoops. You don't expect it. Even when you think you're figuring things out, just keeps coming at you with new twists and the intensity and just feeling of uncomfortableness. It's so well done and so strong that it blew me away, and I was just so surprised that definitely a great movie and probably top 5 in a couple of years to me.
Yeah, I 100% agree. We just watched this last night again, so I was able to relive the magic that is Parasite, and it is so good a second time.
I can't wait because so much more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the first time I watched it, Doug, you and I watched. That was our mandate together. No big.
Parasite wasn't our mandate.
Wasn't it our mandate?
No.
The Lighthouse.
I saw that with Michelle.
Oh, never mind. Never mind. Who did I see that with?
You saw
I
it
know
by
what your mandate
yourself.
was. I know your mandate's better than yourself.
Yeah, I know exactly. Sorry, I guess I just want to
Jesse,
be with
you
Doug.
saw it with Jesse.
I did see it with Jesse. Wow.
Is he also Scottish and bearded?
He looks similar to you, but bald and
So not
that's it.
similar.
Yeah, Parasite, it's so great because it definitely is a movie that transcends its own culture. So that's why it's being talked about a lot this year. I mean, like, it's getting so much buzz, so much recognition, definitely breaking barriers of foreign film, crossing over to North America. But the themes that they have in this movie of status really carry across to any culture. And I think it's so well done as well. The ensemble is really fun to watch. They work really well together. So much that Bong Joon-ho is making a limited series on HBO.
Yes, I heard about that.
So
yeah.
which is really
Very
cool. He's
excited
gonna
about that too.
Yeah.
expand the universe and say, here are like parts in the movie that I really want to flesh out some more and show more too, which is really awesome. But the movie's like really funny too.
Yeah,
Oh my
just
goodness,
the cast too of how
Yeah.
they like connect. Like, it feels like a family. I don't know. They just they're able to
find
pull it together.
It's similar to JoJo in the sense where you're laughing, then you're sad,
Yeah.
then you're terrified, then you're laughing again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you just got the whole range of emotions. I love it.
Yeah, I would say the first half of the movie is like very much like a comedy.
Yeah.
And then it's just like they introduce the wrinkle, which I'll talk about later. And then that's when things are like, wow. And then it just gets dark and you're like, holy shit. But I would recommend people, because I know for sure, like Laura, she didn't even want to watch this film because the poster is scary looking.
Yeah.
And the
100%.
name is
Right.
also scary.
Very
too.
scary.
I thought going
Yeah.
into it, I didn't watch a trailer because I knew I'd watch it, but I thought it was actually going to be more horror,
Like a horror movie.
scary than I thought, and it really wasn't.
Yeah, it is not that movie.
I can
No.
handle Korean horror, but I can't handle like regular horror.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah,
just
like
too
this
much
would-
for me. So.
This doesn't even check the boxes of like it's suspenseful, but it's not a horror movie.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so well done. Mel, what do you got?
All right, I'm excited. I'm going to nominate the funnest film of the year. The
funnest.
film that just takes you by the hand and takes you on a journey that you enjoy the whole way, and that is Knives Out.
Oh my goodness.
boy.
Twists and turns.
Oh my, I love it. For me, if it was just Jamie Lee Curtis in a pink suit just for half an hour talking, like it would still make my top 5. I just loved it. Everything about it, the colors, the actors, the story, the twists and turns. What a great movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The whole cast is really good. For those of you who don't know, it's Ryan Johnson's whodunit kind of movie. And I think a lot of people we're a little hesitant on it at first to be like, Ryan Johnson, the guy who made Last Jedi, which, whatever, we don't have to get into a whole Last Jedi talk. I like that movie. But I just think this movie gives some credibility again to like the common people, quote unquote. And it is such a well-crafted, like, Clue movie, basically. I like it better than Clue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's 100% better than
And
it.
super fresh. On,
Yeah.
like a really old topic.
Yeah,
like
100%.
so fresh. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for me, the performance that really captivated me was Daniel Craig.
Oh, yeah.
Because in the movie, he starts off, you're like, oh, he's just doing his like really charming Bond
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then he just becomes this comedic force
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
end of the movie. And you're like, oh my God, he is so funny in this movie. Everybody is. Everybody's really great. Yeah.
I thought the accent was going to throw me off a little bit, to be honest, when I
It
saw
did-
the
it
trailers.
did at-
It did
at
at
first.
we get used
Yeah.
to it. And
Yeah.
I was worried it would actually take away from the movie because you really want to get. It's one that you do. You're right. It takes you. It holds your hand through this story, pulls
Yeah.
you in, and you forget you're actually just watching a movie. And then, but yeah, I was worried that he would distract me from it, but it didn't at all.
And I found it looked like he was just having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It almost took me out of the movie because I'm like, this guy just looks like he's having a blast at
He's
work.
just solving a mystery.
But like, yeah.
And I thought the mystery was really, really well done too. I
Yes.
mean, I think
Yeah.
like they keep giving you twist and twist and twist, and even if you can see some of it coming, like I don't think that really took it away from me. Like as long as it's well crafted, like
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't need to beat the movie and be like, oh,
Right.
some
That's
people
true.
like behind us was like, oh, this is gonna happen. It's like shut up, like why are you trying to like
that
be
to yourself,
smarter
yeah.
than the movie? Like who cares as long as it's good? Yeah. Ton of fun.
Yeah.
We're going to round 2, everyone. Round
All right.
2. Man, that's a great round 1. Dora, who would have thought? I can't wait. What
Greatest
your next
movie
one is.
ever.
Ever. Wow. My next movie, this is the movie that I thought you were going to nominate. The way that you said is like takes you on a journey and through a ride. To me, this movie surprised me like greatly. It was like a singular experience. I keep telling people to watch this movie on the biggest screen possible with the loudest sounds possible. I'm talking about 1917.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Shocker.
Did you see it? Did you
Yes,
see it?
I
I did see
Yeah,
it.
I saw it last
Great.
night.
I love this movie. What did you guys think? Just general feelers out here. What did you think?
I appreciate the style, the filming style. Like, I don't know. I like war movies though, so I'm like, I'm on board for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, any
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of challenge, I love it. But for me, the real standout was the way that it was filmed. I
Yeah.
was like, okay, the
Yeah.
story, I mean,
The editing with
they're
the whole
generally
like
the same.
trick that it's all one shot, I
Yeah.
think is like that's why it's like it's a true journey where
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
like
Yeah.
behind, you're with these guys, these like low level like soldiers who are just trying to get from point A to point B and all the struggles they go through and like how they're just humans and flesh in this like big war and they can die at any second
Yeah.
and they
It
just
makes
go
it more
through this whole thing.
interactive.
Yeah,
like,
for
and
sure.
that's something
Oh,
that
it
I
was
really
so-
appreciated
yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
So interactive.
I think I'm very aligned with your thoughts on this one because I think more about how it was done and not so much because I don't want to. We're focusing on the
Yeah,
positives
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
have some opinions on it.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
love to hear
Spoilers
that.
for the
Oh,
second
yeah.
half here, but I think it was more of the style of movie and how it was done that to me levels it up for a very enjoyable and interesting movie. But that to me was that kind of overshadowed and stole a bit of the show of what. Or a bit of the
Right.
movie of what else was
Yeah.
involved in there. So
I would love to. Yeah,
I'm not going
Yeah.
to say. I'm going to let. Yeah, I'm going to.
We're
definitely going to talk more about this.
I'm ready to fight you,
Oh
Doug.
yeah,
Oh,
it's fine.
Yeah, Mel, let's get the boxing gloves out.
Yoshi versus Scottish.
Yeah, Nintendo's really running out of ideas. I can't wait to talk more about this movie. But yes, I really liked it. And I think it's because of that. It's that the way it's shot. It's very, I've never seen anything like it. And that's why I think it's like that singular experience. I wonder how it is watching it again, knowing what happens. I would be curious.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what I liked about that movie, and I still really, really love it, is that I didn't know what was happening, what's going to happen next. And if I do know what's going to happen next, I wonder if anything gets taken away.
Maybe it makes
Yeah.
it worse because you just got that like stomach, that feeling in your stomach where you're like, no, don't put your hand there.
I know,
You
yeah,
know?
exactly. Yeah, Nivala.
Okay, another one that I tried to convince Tom to
Oh
go
no,
see.
Nivala.
Oh, I'm excited. Was there a Dora sequel?
I wish. I
2 in 1
wish
year.
they had a Dora sequel. It's A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
I did see that.
But I tried to convince you to see it with Movie Club, and you were
so-
like, Nivala, really?
I don't remember saying that, but go ahead.
Anyways, it's about this author who ends up, not this author, this writer who has to profile Mr. Rogers. And Tom Hanks plays Mr. Rogers, and I think it's Matthew Rhys.
Yeah, I think so.
Plays the writer,
Journalist
the
or
journalist,
whatever. Yeah.
And he's going through a tough time, and then he ends up meeting Mr. Rogers, and he's like, Mr. Rogers, I'm just gonna rip him apart with my investigative journalism.
Yeah.
And then Mr.
You
Rogers
picked
just
that person to rip apart.
Wow.
Yeah.
is just not having it. And I just thought it was a really great movie to really put things into perspective for your life, just given how I guess people approach life these days and not being present, really dealing with a lot of emotions because you're constantly on the go. And I thought it really brought you back because this generation really hasn't grown up with Mr. Rogers, and they don't really know like, oh, who's Mr. Rogers? And then you're just kind of like, oh, actually what he sort of taught us back like 30 years ago, 40 years ago probably now, but
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was I never watched Mr. Rogers growing up. Did you guys
Oh.
do
No, I never
any of
watched
that?
I
I did
did. The opening scene sort of pans through like his opening scene of what it used to
Yeah.
be, and I was like, I remember as a kid, I would like undress with my like jacket, put my new jacket on, put on my shoes,
That's so
and I'd be like, all right, Mr. Rogers,
Put on
we're gonna
your
learn
red
about.
cardigan.
You were his neighbor.
Yeah. Anyways, it was a really fun movie because it sort of like goes through like how impactful I guess someone can be in your life and
Yeah,
how much like a stranger could just be
Yeah.
your biggest support.
I love that. And it Mr. Rogers for me, because I watched Won't You Be My Neighbor last year, the documentary on Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
So I feel like in the last 2 years, I've been learning a lot about Mr. Rogers. He's kind of always been in the zeitgeist of like Mr. Rogers, super important like figure, but I never really followed anything he did until I started watching the documentary and then A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. And he just seems like the nicest man of all time and teaching people to how to children specifically how to deal with their emotions, so when they become adults they become less shitty people. And I think it's such a beautiful, and Tom Hanks, he plays him perfect.
Oh my goodness. But the entire cast is great.
Yeah.
There was the Canadian superstar, who I think he's a superstar, Enrico Colatoni in it.
Nope.
He was in SWAT. No, okay.
I don't know.
He was also in Dora.
I think he's actually, he might have been. Susan Kaleshi. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but
I don't know.
I don't know. She's in This Is Us. She's
Okay, I didn't watch that either.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways, star-studded cast, great movie.
Yeah.
This movie
10 out
though,
of 10 would recommend.
so I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It was on my list of something that I was eventually going to get to, but I remember people not realizing what the story was about. I mean, obviously Mr. Rogers is involved, but it wasn't truly
It wasn't
like it wasn't
his story,
it wasn't
no.
his
Yeah.
story,
No.
which I think threw some people through a loop. So that is accurate.
Yeah.
Like it was more of like, it's obviously the perspective of the writer,
Yeah.
journalist, and his journey, and it involves Mr. Rogers, but it's not really
Yeah.
telling the story of Mr.
Yeah.
Rogers,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's-
Mr.
yeah, exactly.
Tom Hanks is the supporting actor of this
Yeah.
movie, and it's based on the real article that was written about Mr. Rogers and about that journalist and how like this
Yeah. So
that really
journalist,
happened.
Yeah.
his life was
You
changed
can read it
by
on
interviewing.
esquire.com.
I will.
They have the archive version.
Yeah.
I can read out the address for you if you want.
HTTP.
But that's one thing I wanted to
Yeah.
I wanted to bring that up because that's definitely something that I think a lot of people thought going into it. It was going to be
Yeah.
another
Yeah, you're right.
a better framed documentary necessarily. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think the other one was still, it wasn't amazingly received, but it was still
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
So people thought it was potentially a level up of that, where it's actually just a different perspective.
Yeah, I would say in this movie in particular, you don't learn anything crazy about Mr. Rogers. And Won't You Be My Neighbor, you get to know more of him as a human being. This is just like Mr. Rogers is here. You see a little bit of like him in the background, that's not on TV, but it's mostly about this dude and how Mr. Rogers changed this dude. And I would say he was probably the least interesting thing in my mind.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the main character also plays the role of like the audience here. So when Mr. Rogers comes up to you, he's just like, well, how do you think that makes you feel? The author's like, so he plays like kind of the everyman as well. So you're kind of like in one way relating to this guy, but it's hard not to like be like, oh, this makes me feel kind of bad.
Yeah.
And so Mr. Rogers. Anyways,
I
Tom
really
Hanks is
enjoyed
amazing.
it.
Yeah. I'm
Doug-
definitely going to watch it after
Yeah.
this.
What do you got?
All right. Well, I'm going through my head of what I want to say because there's a few. I'm gonna save it for the last round. This one, a lot of other people might agree. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I do agree.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino generally can't go wrong. Like he's got, I mean, even his worst ones are still good movies, but he's definitely got some peaks and lows for him. But I thought this one was one of his stronger ones. Very interesting story. Now, don't get me wrong. Michelle and I watched this together. We were just going through Mindhunter, Netflix show about serial killers. We were going through through that binge and that phase of watching those types of shows. And this movie tells a story. And obviously Quentin Tarantino, puts his little twist on it, but tells a story of like, I'm drawing a blank on the name now.
Manson?
Oh
Yeah, Manson. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
So like, and Michelle's really interested in those kind of in those stories and things. And so when watching this movie, and if you know, I recommend researching a bit of that so you know some of the dates and the people
Right.
involved, because if you don't, it takes away from the story a little bit. But knowing that going into it, it's a very interesting story, unique twist, and I don't know, just telling of the events. I don't want to spoil anything too much until the later half. But,
Yeah.
I just felt like, cast was great, really enjoyable. Hit those key points, upbeat, had some intensity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino of like some gore.
Did you guys watch this?
I did not.
I have not been convinced to watch it.
No.
Are you a Quentin Tarantino fan?
I am, but
Yeah.
I think it seems like a very, very average film for him. And that's kind of what I've heard.
I also really love this film. I will say that it seems a little polarizing for people who aren't like, movie nerds, quote unquote, because there's no linear plot to this movie.
Yeah.
And I think that throws a lot of people off, is because if you can't follow like this character's journey from like the bottom of this like I'm drawing like a picture, but nobody on the audience can see. But like this general like story beat structure of like the beginning of the movie, conflict, climax, and then like fallout. Like it doesn't really follow that. It's more like a couple days in the lives of these people, and then you just kind of live through it with these people.
Right.
And I really liked it. I think the performance is really good. I love Leo, so I'm kind of like a sucker for that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's the
think-
thing. It pulls you in. Like Brad Pitt was. I think did he get a nod for supporting?
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that one
he
too?
did.
And-
Yeah, I think
He
he's
didn't
getting
win
a
the
lot
SAG
of
award
attention.
He's
for it.
amazing.
Yeah,
He looks
and, well,
and
people
Golden Globes.
people are even
Yeah.
people are arguing. They'll be like, "Oh, he's just playing himself," and it's like, okay, cool, but like, you got to convince people that you're
Yeah.
playing. Like, it's,
Yeah,
I don't know. It felt like the acting was just really strong as well.
Yeah.
I agree with that, but
Yeah.
it is definitely you described it really well. Like, it's not the standard structure story, and you're just kind of following, which feels slow at times, but
Yeah.
then to me, the reward is worth it.
It's long too, right?
It's
Yeah,
long.
it's pretty
It's
long.
close to 3 hours long.
Yeah.
So I don't think the movie's for everybody, but I did like it better than his last movie, The Hateful Eight. I didn't like that as much.
Personally,
so,
I loved it.
yeah.
But I know it's not
Yeah.
the norm.
I mean, Hateful Eight was longer than that.
Was
That's
it?
true.
Wasn't it? Hateful Eight had intentionally was meant to have a break in the movie. Some theaters you were supposed
might be
to.
Right. You might be right.
It was supposed
Yeah.
to have a pause, an intermission.
I
Interesting.
believe
They
that.
should
I
bring
just-
back intermission for everything.
We should
though.
have that.
Like,
or like
no,
toilets
I don't
in
want.
the seat.
Yeah.
Just show movies in the bathroom.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was like, how do we capitalize on this? Because now they sell beer
That's so true.
at the theater,
Yeah.
but now you gotta like, I was like, that's amazing. But I'm like, wait a second, but then I gotta pee during the movie, and then if I get up, I'm gonna miss some of the movie. So how do I?
tricky.
I don't know how you
Yeah.
do it. I don't know. Let's figure it out.
Intermission is how. Yeah.
Intermission.
But anyway, that's definitely my vote. Really
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like it too. Mel, what do you got?
Okay, I'm bringing in my wild card for my second pick.
Oh my god.
This movie did not get a lot of love. It also came out early, so I'm sure some people have forgotten about it. But it was thrilling. It stayed with me for a long time. Now, I think the reason it didn't get a lot of love is because expectation management, where people were expecting the world. And this is Us by Jordan Peele.
Oh my.
Specifically,
gosh.
not the TV show. This is-
Yeah.
The movie is
Thank you for that.
This is Us season 2.
This is Us.
the movie version.
No, sorry. The movie Us.
Yeah.
Loved it. Loved everything that it stood for. I loved that you could think back on it. Like, what did the escalator mean? Like, have you guys looked into that? Like, I'm kind of
Oh
obsessed
no,
with
it's
it.
No.
it's one of those ones that you immediately after watching, you're like, I'm gonna Google the shit out of this and just see what
Exactly.
people are saying about it,
Yep.
and to see what people think actually happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lighter scene where the guy's on fire, like, I
Yeah.
just thought it was unreal.
Yeah, I thought this movie was so good, and I remember when this movie came out. The audience we watched it with was amazing. That was one of the few times I'm like, oh, this is a really good audience.
Yeah.
Because usually I'm really
Yeah,
pissed
yeah.
off in the theaters
Yeah.
because like someone's on their phone or whatever. This one, people were like scared when they had to
Yeah.
be scared and like reacted when they had to react. And I remember at the time, like I really liked it more than Get Out.
Yeah.
And I think Us is scarier than Get
Yes,
Out.
it is, for sure.
I think Get Out has like a cleaner message behind it.
Yep.
But Us, I think they take chances with Us, and I
Yeah.
really appreciate that about
Is
the movie.
Us funnier about Get Out? Funnier than Get Out too?
I think so
it
too.
is.
I think there's some funny
It's
I don't
very
know.
funny.
Like looking back, I don't know. I'd say they're pretty on par, to be honest. I don't know.
I can see that too.
Yeah.
But the acting of Lupita Nyong'o is like, I feel like she
Oh,
got
man.
snubbed hard this year.
Yeah.
I cannot
Yeah.
believe that she didn't get nominated for anything. She was so good in
Unreal.
her dual role. But yeah, I loved. I remember like that movie stuck with me too. I like for weeks on
Yeah.
end. I was like looking at like I was like googling stuff. I'm like, well, how did this happen? Why did this
Yeah.
happen? Whatever. And I think the theme of social class is such a big one
Yes.
this
Yeah,
year,
it is.
especially with
For
those
sure.
Parasite and Us, and like there's a few more. Yeah, I thought it was really good too.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
Glad
I'm
you guys
surprised you
agree.
brought it up as a dark horse, because I mean that was one I'm like,
I guess maybe I'm over exaggerating, but it's like people had such high expectations.
You know what
they
though?
felt let down.
I think it is a dark horse now because like it got no
Yeah.
recognition
Yeah.
for like award season
Oh, yeah, that's
whatsoever.
true, yeah.
And when like they're like, this is Jordan Peele's like next masterpiece or whatever,
Yeah.
and then it kind of came and went. But I think that's a little unfair. I thought it was really
yeah,
good.
me too.
Yeah,
Me
yeah.
too.
I really liked it.
I was equally scared. So you know what?
Nivala, you
It's
saw
great.
it? Did you see it with me?
No. I am so scared of like just scary things.
Yeah.
I can't watch like trailers for Criminal Minds episodes. Like that's how scared I am of things.
And Us has like a crazy scary soundtrack. too.
Yeah, I couldn't
yeah.
handle it.
The
I was
sound-
like,
the soundtrack is so good. Yeah,
So good.
So
Yeah.
good.
I love my favorite thing is when they put the Us soundtrack on top of. I'm gonna assume you guys are not gonna nominate Cats. As one of
What do
your-
you mean? That was my next wild card
I was gonna say,
nomination.
Someone put it-
It's
come
definitely-
on,
Someone put
honorable
the-
mentions.
That CGI was so great.
The Us soundtrack on top of the Cats trailer, and it's like,
phenomenal.
oh
Oh my gosh.
Is this on YouTube or
Yeah,
something?
it's
I thought-
amazing.
frightening.
Well, the Cats trailer just to begin with is
Yeah,
like a
super scary.
terrifying
I think
show.
we need
like,
to
I
watch
couldn't-
that in the intermission and
Yeah.
then give some feedback.
I'm gonna talk about Cats later, but
Oh, okay.
not now. This is
I'll
round
be- I'll
3.
be- I'll be ready.
My nomination is not Cats. I'm having a hard time. We have such a nice list right now that
I
I'm.
know.
I'm-
Yeah, it is a good list.
It's hard for me.
Depending on what people say, I'm glad I'm going like second last for the last round, because it's like depending on what people say, I can
I
throw in some
know.
other ones.
Well, that was
That's a
the
lot of
hard thing
pressure.
about it. That's why
I
I
know,
was
you have
saying
a lot of pressure
Slim
going last.
Pickens this year because
I disagree. There's
see,
a
no,
lot of movies.
I just feel like there was a lot of movies, but I think a lot of people are in the same general consensus of like what were the good movies. So it's kind of hard
yeah,
to come
that's-
up with.
that's pretty fair.
12, yeah.
That might be fair too. Yeah, I will say like this year's weird because I feel like there wasn't a giant standout in animated movies this year.
Yeah.
I really
Oh,
liked a lot of
it was
the anime
weak.
movies this year, but it was like not like a Lego Movie 1 kind of year. Where
Yeah.
it's just like or Toy Story 3 where I'm like
Isn't Toy Story 4?
it came out
one of
this
them?
year. Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing film, but that's not what I'm gonna nominate.
I don't think anyone's gonna nominate one, but could I talk about one?
That's
Maybe
the
on your
honorable-
turn. About
Okay, fine.
Okay, my next nomination. I just watched this a couple days ago, so it's very fresh.
I
in
know
my
what you're gonna
mind.
say.
And are you gonna? Well, are you gonna?
No. I actually, there could be two possibilities. I'm not going to say either of them.
Okay, I'm hoping you're gonna do the other one.
I'm probably not.
Okay, my next nomination is Uncut Gems. And
Oh my
Okay,
goodness, Adam Sandler is a true gem.
yeah, that's
For
right.
real.
He's not an
What a
uncut
gem.
gem.
Yeah, no, Adam Sandler is
wanna
a
go
cut
there.
gem because he's ripped. No, I think this movie really surprised me. I thought, and I wasn't expecting this. People were saying this is like Sandler's best role in a long time. Adam Sandler has always been a really good actor,
Oh,
but he's
100%,
kind of just
yeah.
been phoning it in because he makes a lot of money. So who gives a shit, right? And we kind of forgot that he was like, and the more bad movies he made, you kind of just like Adam Sandler, what a joke. But a year ago, I watched his like stand-up special that he put on Netflix, and it was really good. It reminded me
Yes,
that
yeah,
he's
yeah,
like
yeah.
he has really good like he's good at drama and comedy. He can
And
blend all.
music and
He's
everything.
he's a very talented person. So then
Incredibly
hearing good things about this movie, I'm like, I want to see him like give it his all, and he does. This movie is really good. It's very. The word's not claustrophobic, but it makes you very uncomfortable.
It's raw.
Yes.
And
Anxious.
that music
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
just riding through the entire time. I just felt so uncomfortable the entire 2 hours of this movie, but in like I can't wait to see what happens next because I feel like I'm like about to have a heart attack because like of
That's
the
a
way
really
the
good
movie-
description
like
of the movie.
it's getting
just-
unraveled
Yeah.
and unraveled. You're like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? And it's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. Yeah. You guys saw it, yes?
I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not seen it.
You have not seen it. You have not seen it. What did you think?
So I'd agree with your sentiment. I'm going to hold back on some of these
Yeah.
because I think there's going to be some more fighting.
Sure.
First about 1917 and then Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
I agree. It did feel like a 2-hour heart attack, but to me it was too much. So I appreciate the acting. The Adam Sandler killed it, and I think actually to me the last like 30 minutes unbelievable.
Yeah.
It felt like the pacing was pretty consistent, but it was just too much for me to take in that I couldn't appreciate it. But I can see why other people liked it. I just don't think it was a movie for me up to that point.
Yeah.
But very well done. Can see why people liked it. It was just too much. Too many things going on with the senses that I was overwhelmed.
Yes, I don't know if this movie's for everyone, but if you can try to lock yourself in and like really try to do your best to experience this movie, it's so raw.
But like, even if you try and focus, it's like a movie that has ADD. Like, it's just there's so much going on.
yeah.
We'll get into it a bit later, but there's just a lot going on
There
that
is.
you have to be prepared for that, or else it can be distracting.
Yeah, I think it's like it falls on the back of just like Sandler's like magnetic performance, and because he's so good at playing this character, you just want to see what happens next. And so for me, it's just like I'm just gonna keep watching this movie because I want to see what this character does next, even though I feel pretty uncomfortable right now. Yeah, but I did really enjoy it. I just like the movies this year that spoke to me are the ones that are like, this was like, it made my heart kind of like race, and it made me feel like have an experience. And I think Uncut Gems to me was like an experience. Nivala, go ahead. What
I'm
do you
going in
got?
with something pretty just like basic.
So Tyler
I'm
Perry.
ready.
What did Tyler Perry put out this year?
I'm ready for this.
Tyler
excited.
Perry recently came out with. I do watch Tyler Perry movies though.
I know you
No, The Irishman actually.
Oh yes,
Yeah. Why I really liked it was that, well, I guess it was more so like looking at organized crime families, but not it through the lens of The Godfather, which is terribly slow and very boring. But I thought The Irishman really captivated my attention, and it also had my favorite actor Bobby Cannavale in it, and I was like,
Yes.
Bobby.
Bobby.
But yeah, I thought it was just a good ride. Like, it was just a nice movie in that you didn't get bored for the 3.5 hours that you were watching it.
Yeah.
Did you know the story about like Jimmy Hoffa at all?
Nope.
Like go into it knowing? Okay, interesting.
No, yeah.
I did
Just-
not know either.
I've seen it.
I was
Have
like-
you seen it?
Yeah,
Yep.
I've seen it.
Everyone's seen. Okay,
Yeah.
everyone's seen it.
Yeah.
Did anyone know the story about Jimmy Hoffa? Really?
I
So
was
that's what it like is really
Googling while I
centralized
was
about.
going, yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I'll speak last because I want to see what other people thought about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the themes a lot. And I thought, again, it was like kind of bringing a freshness to something that we had seen over and over again. I'm not really one for those mobster gangster movies, other than maybe Casino. Like, I just
Yeah.
don't like any of them. But I really like the way the perspective was of kind of like your life ending and looking back and like feeling
Yeah.
a bit empty. I thought it was a really, really good take.
Yeah.
I need to be careful of what I say in this. I think I'll talk about it in the ranking round
Okay.
here. What I did like about it though was the performances of the three. You got De Niro, Joe Pesci, and Al Pacino. They're
Oh my gosh,
all
I remember.
amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
And, they're so good together, and they fit perfectly. And I thought they were just outstanding. I actually had to watch this movie in 3 sittings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because I can't. 3.5 hours is just too long.
Yeah.
Maybe they were just spoiled with streaming in general. Because like if I went to see it at a theater, of course I'm going to sit down
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
watch this 3.5. Like I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with no bathroom breaks or whatever. So if I really committed to it,
You
for
can do
sure
it.
I could do it. But when we have the choice at home to watch it in spurts, I'm like, do I really want to give 3.5 hours of my day to this movie? I don't
Yeah.
know. But I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think there was actually I think there's a Netflix special about the making of The Irishman out now, and they were talking
Oh.
about wanting to. They were talking about not even this generation, but movies now have a different flavor, and they have to kind of cut it to a certain amount of time, and they just said,
Right.
"Screw it, we want to make the movie
Yeah.
how we want to make it," and that's why it ended up being this long, which I totally respect, and I think
Yeah.
that's really interesting. But I'll talk about it more in the.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was.
Yeah. I'm excited to talk.
I'm gonna say on that one.
Okay, all right. Well, Doug,
I
what
think
do
I'm
you got?
fighting everybody in this.
Hey, listen, I'm excited.
Just
Yes.
getting ready.
Knives
Prepping
out,
for the
baby.
fight.
Yeah. That's what you wanted to say earlier, but
Yes,
you couldn't.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Doug, what do you got?
So I have a question.
Yes.
If I don't say something in this round, is it allowed to be in that top 5? Because
Nope.
No. Okay, then I'm gonna strategically.
Talk about it.
No, I'm not gonna. No, I'll bring it up in the honorable mentions
Okay,
after
great.
then because I think it should be talked about, but
Yeah.
not a top 5. I'm gonna pull out Joker.
Yes. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
That
Okay.
emotional ride.
I want to. I'm excited that this movie has been brought up for the ranking. I feel like this is going to stir a lot of shit. But go ahead. Tell me something about Joker that you really liked. Or
Just, similar to the other movies where you just feel uneasy. Joaquin Phoenix just crushes it.
Yep.
Just absolutely crushes it. And I mean, he had huge shoes to fill following Heath Ledger. And people, I mean, I think Don't get me wrong, Heath Ledger's performance was great. I think people put it on a pedestal of like, this was an unbelievable performance as well. It was really great, but then you have those expectations you have to hit. And I think he crushed it. And just immediately after the first scene, you're just like, what is with this guy? And you just want to see what's going on and what's going on through his head. And they do some twists, and none of them are like insanely shocking. And I think once you see it once, because I actually did watch it again yesterday or the day before. Wow. Once you see it once, it could be similar to 1917, where it has a different take on it, where you're like, okay, I know what to anticipate. But I felt like the first time coming out of the movie, it just, again, sticks in your head, and you're just uncomfortable and the entire time, and you want to know what's going to go wrong or who's going to tip over the edge, who's going to crack through the entire movie. I don't know, it just pulled me in the whole time, and yeah, absolutely, I just really liked it.
Is he nominated for anything?
He is nominated for Best Actor.
He's been winning.
I was just
everything.
gonna say, because
he won.
He did what I thought was the impossible,
Yeah.
being able to sympathize and then be like, I absolutely hate you at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
He won, I think, for the, is it SAG?
He won
That was-
SAG.
He won
He
SAG
won
Best
the
Actor,
Globe
yeah.
as well.
Okay.
I would be shocked if he didn't win the Oscar for it. Just
Yeah.
to
Me
just
too.
be from like the how he's won every other award basically.
Yeah.
So it'd be surprising.
Yeah.
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 What did you guys think about the movie?
Yeah, I think when Doug said pulled me in, like that's exactly how I felt. I was totally engaged. And I don't know, I think I was just like in a weird mindset that day. I was just rooting for him the whole time. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I thought it was a great movie and super entertaining and something different too.
Yeah. Did you see Nivala?
Yes, I did.
And what did you think?
It took me a while because I was like, my brother actually saw it first, and he was like, it's a real heavy movie. You got to be in the mood for it. And I was like, okay,
For sure.
I'll just wait for a day. And then I went in and I was like, okay, expecting like the absolute worst, but I thought I was like pleasantly surprised at.
You were expecting a bad movie?
No, I was like, I just thought it'd be so absolutely depressing that I wouldn't be able to handle it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it really was like, it was just a really well done movie. Like, I think his performance really conveyed the script.
Yeah.
It would have, had anyone else done it, I don't think they would have been able to bring it to life the way that he brought it.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I think if there's anything to really celebrate about it, it's definitely the performance of Joaquin Phoenix for sure. And I definitely need to talk more about this movie, but I'm gonna save it because I have a lot of thoughts swirling in my head right now.
I also want to bring up the soundtrack. Rewatching it again, soundtrack fit really well with the mood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Top notch.
like it. Mel, bring us home.
All right.
Last nomination.
We're going to lighten things up a little bit with a nice little comedy that I love, that I thought got all the emotions right, and that's Booksmart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen that
Yes.
It was super fun.
Yeah,
Yes.
super fun movie, super funny, very wholesome, a little bit nostalgic.
Yeah.
Just well-rounded movie. Loved it all.
Olivia
I watched
Wilde's directing debut.
Yeah.
Oh,
really?
her debut.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot
Who's-
about that.
who's in
That's
that one?
awesome.
It's oh my god. It's
Jonah Hill's sister.
I can't believe I'm forgetting her name right now. I feel so bad.
Yeah, she's amazing.
I'm gonna look it
I
up.
don't
I'm gonna look it
know.
up.
Yeah, please do.
Tell me more about what you liked about the movie.
Okay,
Mel.
the soundtrack was great as well. I thought everything.
Beanie Feldstein. I just remembered.
Thank you. Yeah, there you go. Everything fit perfectly. It made me laugh a lot. It just made me feel a lot of things, like thinking back about high school, thinking about like watching Superbad. It kind of reminded you of Superbad, but it didn't necessarily compare itself to Superbad. It was just complemented it really, really well. And just seeing the different relationships between these guys, and like seeing the heartbreak, seeing the fights, and then them coming back together. I just thought it was so great the way they went about it.
Yeah, it's a nice, tight, short comedy, like an
Yeah.
hour and a half or so. Caitlin Dever is the other actress in the movie.
Also
Yes.
really,
Both of
really
them
good. Yeah,
very
yeah.
well together,
Yeah.
and you can feel like, it's perfect. It's
Yeah.
like one of those like teen comedies, but it has. It's just so positive and optimistic,
Yeah,
and there's
yeah.
like there definitely is like the sadder parts of the movie,
Yep.
but it's just so well written. It's a fun time. Yeah. Nivala, you look like you're thinking about
Yeah,
something.
no, I'm like, no, I'm just kind of like, how else can you describe it? It really
I
was just a
know.
fun, like, lighthearted time. And then, yes,
But
it was
it-
like,
I felt like it stuck with me more than some other comedies that I've seen
Yeah.
this year. And I don't know if it's just on the backs of just like being just so well written. It could
Yeah.
be just that, and the well acted as well.
Yeah. And like a lot of great messages too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the moment that she finds out that everyone else got into like the Ivy Leagues, and she's like, oh my God, what have I spent my time
You know
doing?
what? That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I watched it, but like
Yeah.
that's a great point. Is that you see these characters as archetypes and stereotypes of these like. Of these people in high school. They're like, oh, this is the bully. This is like the smart
Right.
kid or whatever. This person is coming out or whatever it is. But then you notice that all these characters that start as archetypes
Right.
all have their own story behind them. Even though you don't explore it fully, they're like, oh, these are real people too. So
Yeah.
even though the person that comes off as a bully at the beginning of the movie who like slut shames
Right.
the main character in the bathroom. You think that might be just her character,
Right.
but they bring her back later and be like, oh no, she actually has like a good heart as well. And like these other people who are like bullies are like, oh, I also made it to like a really nice school too
Yeah.
because I do my homework.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's actually something that I really, really loved about the movie. And I don't know if it's very realistic, but every character was a good person. And like it was very positive in that way.
Yeah.
There was no bad people in that film, right?
Like there's bad like
like-
moments, like intentions
Yes,
sometimes,
exactly.
but
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they're
yeah.
all like trying to be good.
Yeah, exactly.
as best as they
Exactly.
could.
So a lot of positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun time.
Something a bit different.
Great time. All right, we got our list of 12. Man, that's a
All right.
crazy list. I am sad that some movies didn't make it, but hey, that's
I'm
wanted-
surprised.
there were a
that
few
some-
I wanted to
yeah,
say.
I was gonna say I'm
Guys.
surprised.
Is there-
Let's do
Very-
honorable mentions before we do everything.
I was gonna say, are there two sets of honorable mentions where it's like
There's
because there's a
not.
top 5 from the 12,
yeah.
and then so are the other 7 honorable mentions, or there's like other ones that
There's
we're
other
allowed to,
auto
like,
So there's the 12. That's our
'Cause,
master
like-
list, and then the other ones. That's just how it goes.
I
in
know
ranked,
that's fine, but I
baby.
still want to
rules.
just like bring them up.
We'll bring them up. That's what the honorable mentions is
Yeah.
for. But let's just mull this over for a little bit, and when we're back, we're going to rank the top 5 movies.
Sweet.
Nivala, it's me, the PodCavern. I'm 3 years old and I want a birthday
Oh
present.
my goodness!
Yeah.
Happy birthday!
Thank you.
What kind-
PodCavern, my son. Oh, Nivala, thank you for taking care of my son.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Now, I feel like we need to get a birthday present.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
3 years old, and I
I'll
feel
need
like
it,
I'm
like-
not treating him right.
Oh my goodness, I'll need to get it right now too.
You know what? Great idea.
Yeah.
Amazon.com. In fact, don't even go to Amazon.com. Go to PodCavern.com and click on the Amazon affiliate link.
Oh my goodness, that's so easy.
It's such an easy
I
thing
already
to
have
do.
that saved.
It's saved on your
Yeah.
bookmarks on your website.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is fantastic.
On my homepage.
That's right. And if you buy something through that affiliate link, guess what?
What?
PodCavern, my little baby, is going to get a little bit of kickback.
No way!
Even
It
better.
can go to his college fund?
It can go to his college fund, and guess what?
What?
It doesn't cost any extra money for the people using the affiliate link.
Oh my goodness, I gotta share this with all my friends too.
Are you going to buy me a present?
We're gonna buy you a whole university.
Thank you, Nivala. And
You're
happy
most welcome.
birthday to me.
Top five.
Hey everyone, we are back. Okay, are you guys ready to rank some stuff? I'm a little scared, to be honest. Doug, put the knife away. Put it away. All right, he just sheathed it in his little leather pouch.
Several.
Man, I'm a little scared, to be honest.
I'm
I don't.
excited.
Scared and excited. All right, shall we get started here? So what we have in our list of 12, and before we get started, I want to say I love you all. Okay, before we start fighting, I do love you guys.
Love's a
I might
strong
say some.
word.
I might say some hateful things to you. It doesn't mean anything. It's for the list.
Listen,
It's for the
I'm
listeners.
coming through with one of my favorite ones, okay?
Okay, right.
We'll fight you tooth and nail.
Okay, Nivala. she just put on her brass knuckles. Okay. So we have Jojo Rabbit. I want to get this right. Dora and the Lost City of Gold. Okay.
yes.
Parasite, Knives Out, 1917, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Us, Uncut Gems, The Irishman, Joker, and Booksmart. That is quite the list. I will say off the top that the movie of the decade is nowhere to be seen on this list, which is
What was
wrong. It was Avengers Endgame. Listen. There's a reason for it. I already talked about it at the top of the show. Most influential movie of the decade. I said Avengers Endgame. I stick with that. It was my favorite movie of the decade. Just stop it, okay? I can already see people shaking. This is not about
Do we
this.
talk about those things now, or do those come after?
Those comes after.
Okay.
We're talking about
Sure,
this
sure.
list in front of us. Yeah. I don't want to get riled up yet on a movie that's not even on the list. But let's just say Thanos is very disappointed in all of you. Okay, we're gonna star movies for further consideration.
Okay.
And man, this is so great. I just feel like all of these movies are my baby in some sense because I've seen them all in the last month or two.
Except one of them.
And honestly, I should really get paid for this. Truly, I've watched so many movies
Yes,
in the
you
last
should.
month. You hear that, Hollywood? Now, what are you guys thinking? Just star for further consideration.
Just make sure everyone has a star on my Dora movie.
Ooh, I think that's going to be tough.
That's gonna be tough.
Just saying.
Can we?
I didn't even write that down when I was told to write down the top 12.
All right. I
Definitely Knives Out.
I can get yes.
Yep, star.
Knives
I
Out.
will-
Definitely
Definitely.
Parasite.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely Jojo Rabbit.
1917.
Oh,
And Jojo
Ooh.
Rabbit.
Okay.
See, wait, do you guys see how it's slim pickings? Because it's just so easy so far for us to
I
star
do know
things.
what
I'm going to fight this. JoJo, I agree. 1917, not so much.
So this is the part of the
oh, this
starring.
is a star. Oh, yeah. I
The
said
starring
no,
is
I did.
further
Starring, yeah.
consideration. If people think like half the table think like this movie needs to be talked about more, we're gonna star it. Doesn't necessarily mean it'll make the final list.
Oh, okay,
We're just
okay.
trying to weed out the ones that are definitely not gonna make the list, right?
Come on, guys. Dora. It's so good.
I believe you. I don't know if it's the movie of the year though, or even top 5. But
Or
I-
one should we talk about even more? Just-
yeah. I think Michael Pena is happy enough that we
Okay.
talked about. Doug, how about you give me a star? One that's, let's say one that isn't your own, if you can.
Well, I mean, I've already said I really like Knives Out.
Yep.
I want to throw in Us. I'm gonna throw in Us
Nice.
in
Okay,
there.
Me
cool.
too.
That was on
Me
there.
too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mel, you want to give me another one here? If you can. If you can't, then it's all
I
good.
think my 5 big stars have already been starred.
Cool.
So I might just leave it at that.
I feel like we should talk more about Joker, probably,
Oh,
right?
Definitely. You're right.
I thought that was a shoe-in. I'm not going to lie.
And
I agree.
Yeah.
is there any other on this list that you're really gunning for? I mean, The Irishman could.
I think we need to
make this
talk about The Irishman.
Okay, let's talk about
I
The
want to talk
Yeah.
about The Irishman. I think we should.
I'm not going to lie. I prepared my list in anticipation that everyone else was going to choose what I actually wanted to choose. So
That's
I was
smart.
I was like out of the
Yeah.
box ones.
That's why I'm just like, you know what? Someone's gonna nominate Endgame. It's not gonna.
I honestly thought you were going to nominate
No,
it.
I looked at
Yeah.
Laura.
I
I'm
was
like,
so close.
I was like,
was close
I looked
too.
at Laura. I'm just like, no one's here gonna nominate Endgame. It's gonna break my heart. I'm gonna have to stop the podcast
Wait.
today.
We can just rewind back in time.
This is also the last episode, right? Okay, so just to keep track here, the movies that we have so far is Jojo Rabbit, 1917, The Irishman, Parasite, Joker, Knives Out, and Us. That is 6 movies. Any other movies that you want? I want to talk about Uncut Gems, just to talk about it.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, here's some movies that I'm like I think Booksmart
I know.
could also be
Yeah,
talked
I
about.
know.
So I'm gonna start.
It seems like
I don't want to start.
confidently say talk about most of them except I'm sorry, Dora.
Dora?
Oh my god.
Well,
guys.
I think
I'm kind of over.
Are we just gonna say let's just talk about all of
time
them?
in Hollywood?
Are we
well,
not
we've already
supposed to?
kind of
Yeah.
talked. No, but here we just really want to weed them out so we can start like pitting them against each
Okay,
other.
everyone just go see Dora though.
So
I mean, sure, I'll see it. I just won't talk about it anymore.
So here are the movies that aren't starred, which is
I'll be
just
okay
a few.
with.
So Dora isn't starred, Beautiful Day isn't starred, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood isn't starred. And I'm okay with those 3 not making the top 5 list. Are you guys okay with that?
Great movies. I'm totally okay with that.
What's your thought on Once Upon a Time? I know-
I'm okay with being vetoed out.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it was one of my personal top 5s,
Yeah.
but I understand why it may not be there for everyone else.
Yeah.
I'm a little sad we won't talk about it more, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I think we got to start narrowing down. I get it, so
Yeah.
I'm good with it. I'm just not happy about it.
I saw that before we let go of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I also really enjoyed it. I will say that I saw it on opening weekend, so my memory of it is kind of gone of what actually happens in the movie, except for like that pivotal moment. But the feeling of like this is a pretty good movie is kind of what stuck with me, with some really great performances by Leo and Brad Pitt. I wish they used Margot Robbie more, but I understand she was also the heart of the film in a lot of ways. So they used her also perfectly as well. I just wanted to see more of her.
You can come over and watch it with me. I bought the DVD yesterday, so
can have a
cuddle
Blu-ray
on the
player.
couch. Oh, it's blue. Sorry, it's all interchangeable. When I say DVD, I mean Blu-ray.
Okay, I don't know. You could have a laser disc.
I don't have the
know. You
4K
could-
Ultra.
No 3D.
No 3D.
Okay.
No VHS.
No VHS.
No?
If they got it on VHS, I would buy it.
Do you have a Vhs player still?
I could find one.
I have one.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's the only way to
That's
watch
how-
Dora.
rest in peace, Boots. Okay.
Just saying, give it a chance.
All right, I want to talk about, before we get even further, this is the part where we talk about locks, okay? This is like unanimous decision. Like this will probably make the top 5, and then we could leave that out of the conversation.
Parasite.
Parasite is a lock. Can we agree for the top 5 list?
Yeah, Parasite for sure.
Okay,
For me.
and this has to be unanimous. So if you go like, ooh, then it's not a lock.
Yep.
All right, what else is a lock?
JoJo.
JoJo is a lock.
JoJo is 100%
A lock.
locked.
Okay,
And loaded.
lock and loaded.
Locked and loaded.
All right, lock to Parasite and lock to JoJo. Is there any other
Knives
locks?
Out.
Knives Out.
Yeah,
Yep.
Knives Out.
100%.
Yes.
3 locks. This makes it easy.
I told you
Okay,
guys, slim
I stand
pickings.
but then it's like
You're
the
very
last
right.
2 are
Yeah.
going to be
Okay,
fun.
I don't know if there's another lock on this list, to be honest with you. Truthfully, I thought it would be 1917. Probably not, I guess, but
No.
we can fight about it to get on the list. I think everything else is kind of like we have support for, but we need to talk more about, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, let's talk about 1917 then. Doug, tell me what your reservations on it. Nivala, you too, right? You saw this?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, so
I think we're aligned.
yeah, the style of it so cool. I mean, I think even early on when they were first getting through the no man's land, or not no man's land, I can't remember, but
Yeah,
the first,
that's it.
when they got through it and they went down that first large kind of crater and it had the water and it was like the side scrolling,
Oh, spoilers, by
Like-
the way. Yeah, spoilers.
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
gorgeous shots.
Amazing.
So unbelievable from that perspective. And I thought the acting, while not unbelievable, was still very strong. I think for me, what threw me off, like in the sound and everything, the environment, and it could just be a personal thing, but there weren't, I mean, the expectation of what was going to happen in the end, I was just more of like, it wasn't like buildup of like what could happen. I knew it was going to be inevitable, and it was just a matter of how they got from point A to point B. And so for me, it wasn't so much of like the journey itself was kind of spoiled because I knew roughly what the outcome I felt like was going to be. I didn't have confidence there was going to be something off-putting. Now, don't get like, yeah, we're okay with spoilers.
Yeah, we're at
So don't get
spoilers
me wrong, when
territory
things
now.
jumped at you, and when the I can't remember the character's name, but he died pretty early on, and it was like,
Yeah,
holy
that
shit,
was
you
a
thought
shock.
that was a shock. But in the end, I was like, they're gonna get there, and it's gonna be close to around what they have to stop.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Right.
be close to when the battle, like it's gonna be positive in my mind, that I thought that was a shoo-in. And so I was just more of waiting for that to happen versus enjoying the journey. And I think that took it away from me. So it didn't pull me in like the other stories, because it was more of just get there already versus enjoying the ride.
Interesting.
100%.
Interesting.
I think,
that's how you
well,
feel.
that's the thing about a lot of war movies is that you kind of know what's going to happen. You're just like, okay, well, this is probably what's going to happen, X, Y, Z, L, M, N, P. And then you're just kind of like, okay, well, what's new about this one? And as we sort of said before, it's really more so the style that they sort of constructed it as. And it wasn't, for me, like, it's not a movie that I'm like, oh my goodness, this is Die Hard. I need to see it all the time, like every single couple of years or something like that.
think
I'm like,
there's-
okay, it was cool, it's like, another war movie, but it's a little different in this way.
I think there's something to be said about movies that are like, I try to explain like a singular experience, like you see it once and that's like enough almost. Like I would see this
Right.
movie again, to be fair, but like movies like, to me, like Gravity or Dunkirk, for
Yeah.
example, like I just need to see this once because I
Yeah.
experienced it and it gave me what I needed out of this movie and I had a good time. Yeah, that's interesting to me, the whole, just get there already kind of aspect to it. For me, I guess I could have guessed in the where it would go, I suppose. I wasn't really thinking about it when I was watching the movie. I was so like engrossed of just being with these characters and where they were at that specific frame in the movie that it really felt like a journey. And I was okay with just riding that journey for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you feel about that, Mel?
So I went in with the same fears. But I think that buildup of that, you thought you knew what was going to happen. And then when he gets there and he's running and they do send the first wave out.
Yeah.
So he did miss that. It just made it so much more powerful because you really thought he was going to save them, or you kind of assumed that might
Yeah.
happen. And you're just watching all these soldiers run off to die. I thought it made that scene just so much more powerful. And that was one of the best scenes of the movie, I think.
Oh, I agree with that
Yeah.
for sure. Totally moving,
Yeah.
amazing shot for sure.
And with the singing as well, like, I just like didn't expect that at all for
Yeah.
him to show up. All of a sudden, they're just sitting
Oh,
there.
yeah.
That guy singing that song. He like almost passes out, and then you're still wondering like, is he gonna make it or not? You
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, I felt like there was a lot of good human moments in the movie because like they are by and large nobody actors.
Yeah.
The only time they
Right.
like whip out like a high end actor is they have a very small cameo,
Yeah.
right?
Like
Yeah.
3 lines.
Oh, it's
stops.
Colin Firth. He's in it for a minute.
Yeah.
You have Mark Strong. You have
Benedict
like Andrew
Cumberbatch.
Scott,
Yeah.
Benny Cumby. You have,
First name basis.
you have all these people that are like just there for like just a sliver. But the two main actors, one of them was Tommen Baratheon in Game of Thrones. But like I had to
Oh my
like
God.
sit there for a while to be like, who is that actor?
No,
Yeah, he's the
I
guy
just
who
realized.
spoilers again. He's the one who dies.
Wow.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Which is crazy though, right?
That is crazy.
More or less like the guy who you follow through the entire movie. You don't know who he is, and I think that's stronger because of that.
Yeah.
Because you really feel like he's just like a cog in this like giant machine, and even though he has a really important purpose, he's a nobody.
Yeah.
So I felt like strong about that choice to do that in the movie.
Yes.
I also
Great
like
point.
the points where it's just like, like moments like when his friend dies, and it's kind of like in just a split second, in a moment of kindness in war, especially just giving in to like being a good person was his flaw.
Yep.
He died because of that. And I was like, wow, that's so quick. And it wasn't like we're going to bring him to the thing and he's going to get saved and he's just going to be like, just kind of resting and then he'll be good. It's just like, he's just dead.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really powerful too.
I feel like I'm going to be an asshole to say this.
Yeah.
While I agree it was like split second and like human and obviously never being exposed to anything to do with war, don't know what I would do in those moments. I just felt it was just, you can be kind and be protective of yourself. And it really bothered me that it was like this person trained for battle was like, this guy with a knife who could still kill me, I'm going to sit right by him and let him live. And it's like, you can let him like, I don't know. And I get it's part of the story.
Yeah.
But it just, to me, was just kind of like, yes, people are humans and there's human emotions and you want to forgive and people aren't just trying to murder everybody because that's not the right thing to do. But it took me away from it where it's like, these people are trying to kill you. And no matter what, you're in this battle and this guy just came down and was in an airplane trying to kill your people and then comes down and you're like, I'm going to spare him his life. It's like, fine, you don't have to kill him, but like protect yourself.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, you got stabbed. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind that it happened once, but it happened twice, where he tries to save the other guy and almost the exact same thing happens. So if it happened once, I think like that's a great thing to add in.
I
But it
think it's
happened
more of like,
twice.
that feels like a real character to me though. Like someone who like joined the war and he's just too nice to be.
Well, yeah, you're not you're
soldier.
forced into it.
Yeah.
100% agree with that. It just, to me, it was just like, you did this for the story and it pissed me off. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't get that part. But I also.
But I think it's a good point though
Yeah, it's a
that
good
it happened not once but twice.
And like,
you-
what's the likelihood of the German soldiers twice just being like not looking to cooperate? Because I think that was a general theme in World War I, where no one wanted to be there. You could see the commanders they all had their own like barracks. They were protected. And there's that story on Christmas Day, the British and the German actually had a soccer match against each other, like in No Man's Land.
Oh, yeah.
That really
Yeah.
happened. So I think it is a real theme. But I didn't like that they painted the German soldiers bad twice and the British soldiers good
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah, I can see that actually. Yeah.
But I do feel like this is a very like smaller part of the film, and really we should be talking about. like,
sure, but here we are, and
filmmaking.
I want to say I usually would bring this up earlier, but we do like these films.
Yeah.
Now is the part where we're just kind of nitpicking
Yeah.
it to try to find what the top 5 is,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, so I got to throw in one thing.
Go ahead.
You know those like rides in Disney World where it like tries to make you you're watching a movie and it tries to make you feel like you're there?
Yeah.
I feel like this movie did a better job than those like rides that
Yeah.
I built. Like I do jump scares like really poorly. I'm like throwing my hands up. But when he was in the river and he's like floating backwards, he's like gonna hit the rock. I literally put my arms up to like brace myself against the rock. And my husband is just looking at me like, we're in a theater. So I was like, oh my God, I don't know the last time a movie ever, really tricked me into feeling
Yeah.
like I'm in this river. I like got to navigate. I thought it was so cool.
I feel like this
Yeah,
movie
I
would
think
be
that's
a
where it stands out.
good 4DX movie, one of those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like an
Yeah.
IMAX.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would be phenomenal to see.
Yeah.
Well, the 4DX ones is the ones with the screens on the side of the
really?
theater. Yeah, they're just introducing them to Canada
Whoa.
now.
Wow.
Don't they have those at
and they
Ontario
also-
Place?
They just started introducing them, so I'm not
sounds
sure.
really interesting.
Yeah, so screens on the side,
Wow.
and like they have like the scents and stuff like that. So they'll like spray you with water and like that kind of stuff. Yeah, a guy comes out with a spritzer bottle. And he's just like, "Do you feel immersed?"
You're in the water.
The last thing I'll say about this movie before we move on and maybe talk about other stuff is that the point in the movie where I thought it was like relentless almost, the way it was like go, go, go was there's a part of the movie very early on where they're like, oh my God, it's a tripwire. Nobody move. There's a mouse right there. Nobody move. And you can very easily imagine being like, okay, we're going to walk around this tripwire, whatever. But within like a drop of a hat, everything goes wrong. And that's when the movie was like, oh, this movie can go anywhere. Even though I know you had your like, you were going to guess what was going to happen next. For me, I just didn't really know how that action was going to unfold. And that was really cool for me to be like, oh my God, like, fuck, what's happening? I really like that.
Oh my God.
We just obviously think too much in these movies.
Maybe we're just smarter than you, Tom.
Yeah, maybe.
I got to keep going because honestly, this movie's so great. And you realize that, okay, they're going to get there in like 8 hours. But the movie is 2 hours, so like, how is this gonna work? And the way they like brought the camera in and out as if like you forgot how much time is passing when they're on the back of the truck and he's just listening to them talk, and you're like, wait, did half an hour just pass or did 3 minutes just pass? I don't even know.
Yeah.
It did a great job of that.
I really like that. Let's move on just to talk about some other stuff. We'll leave it kind of hanging there, but we'll see what happens next.
We are unconvinced.
Yeah, I could see it, but I really love this film.
Love it.
It's still a good movie,
Hey,
just
that's
not
fine.
Yeah.
top 5.
For the record, it didn't make my top 10 of the year either.
Yes.
No.
It was an honorable mention outside of the top 10.
Okay, well, we'll talk more about it. I want to go into...
Don't look at my sheet, Mel. I can see you looking.
I want to talk about The Irishman.
Buckle up.
Buckle up.
I'm ready for this ride.
I wanted to love it more. I love Scorsese films. I think, obviously, he's a master in his craft, whatever. But to me, I thought this movie was kind of boring. At the same time... I felt Laura and I had this thing where we were watching the movie and we looked at each other and we're like, A, what's happening? But B, what are they saying? And then we had to turn on subtitles because their accents and the way they were talking did not.
For sure.
I just couldn't, for some reason, I just couldn't understand their accents at all at the beginning of the film. So I missed a little bit of the movie. I'm like, what are they actually saying to each other?
Yeah.
The subtitles definitely helped. I
Yeah.
definitely could follow it better, but it didn't do much for me. I did feel like it was kind of like besides the last hour of the film, where shit like really went down. I thought that was an amazing like build of tension and release. But everything else, I feel like there was a lot of cuttable moments. And I think these days when, like this year especially, everyone's just like, let's make a 3-hour film. Let's make a 3-hour film. Everybody's doing it. There's so many movies this year that are like that. I think this movie could have been easily an hour shorter and I would have got the same out of it.
For sure. I thought it felt even longer for myself because I kept having to go back. If I like blinked too much, then I was like, oh man, I missed something. I got to go back.
So a movie that you have to rewind still makes your like top 5?
Yeah, I could be only because it was probably the best Scorsese film that I've probably ever seen.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Really?
I think that's
praise.
another discussion we could have.
I mean, and most of them include the same 3 actors. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll say is the CGI really.
Oh,
I
yeah.
tried
Yeah.
so hard
Yes.
to be like, because I watch a lot of CGI films
Yeah.
or whatever. I can suspend my disbelief, no problem. But in a movie where it's just all like regular actors, and then Robert De Niro is supposed to play like 30 at one point, I'm like, well, he still walks like a 60-year-old man. Like he's still kind of hunchback.
Yeah.
And then he just.
When he was beating up the guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're talking about like when he's kicking him a couple times, and it's like, oh man, you're like breaking your hips just doing this. That scene did feel out of place, but it's funny you say that because I was actually going to give it praise for the facial CGI.
Yeah, me too,
I
actually.
I felt that I wasn't lost in that. I thought it was going to distract more, but there were a few moments, and I didn't actually see the walking, but that kicking scene.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned it because like I was like that was weird.
Yeah.
Like that felt. And
It
that's like
looked
maybe that's
it was
real.
A physical struggle for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely did.
Yeah, I just thought there was one too many scenes where I was just like I wasn't trying. I really tried not to look for it because I saw it, but I was like, you know what, fuck it, like whatever. I got tricked for the whole Jeff Bridges and Tron thing, and that's in looking back, it's terrible CGI. But back then I was just like, this is amazing. It looks young. But like in this movie, I just could not get over it in some aspects. Some
I didn't
scenes were
notice
better
it
than others.
at all, really.
Yeah. I wish I could. I wish I could
But
say
you
otherwise.
just have the trained eye.
I guess. I suppose.
They are nominated for an Oscar, right, for CGI?
I hope not.
Or was that just
But
Golden
you
Globe?
know, you're saying that you're saying the problem with the CGI was the fact that they didn't take the other considerations of like the walking and the body, like
There's
other
definitely that
aspects.
aspect. It's just for me that uncanny valley, especially because everybody else is regular in that movie, right?
No, They did CGI on a bunch of people in that movie.
For like Joe Pesci and Al Pacino,
Yeah.
yes. But like everybody else is pretty regular. I think De Niro, because he's the main lead, like you see him in a lot more ages through the decades, and I think him at 50 in that movie looks pretty much the same as him at 30. So I never know what age he was playing at some parts of the movie, and it really just took me out of those scenes, I guess.
One thing I really liked about it, though, was that I felt like I was doing the painting the walls and stuff like that. I felt like I was part of the journey while I was on there, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I'm really interested to, hear some debates about this one.
For those who didn't see it, what does painting the walls mean?
It means murdering people.
What?
Just wanted to call that out.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute.
It was just, it was cool. Like, I don't know. I just thought that it was a weird way of being able to feel a part of the movie. I don't know. It was just like being a part of the ambience of the movie. I don't know. It's weird to describe. I was watching it again last night and I was like, I don't know. I feel like I'm in this. I feel like I'm in this bar being talked down to. Like, oh yeah, you're definitely going to get passed out. Like, I don't know. I thought that
I'm surprised you had enough time to watch it twice before this podcast.
Well, no, because what ended up happening was because they rewinded it so many times.
You just ended up watching it for 6 hours.
Yeah, I was good to go.
I've watched 10 hours of The Irishman, but only
Well, I
once.
saw The Irishman when it came out, though, so I guess that. And then I was like, why don't I revisit it?
Yeah,
But yeah.
fair enough.
Michelle and I were talking about this. I don't know if she said this or I said it or we just came to the conclusion, but it felt like a slow movie that had too much going on, which is funny because it's like usually it's the pacing's off and you're bored, or it's going too fast. But to me, it was just like the pacing seemed off, and then all of a sudden you're like, and they didn't introduce characters necessarily, but they were just kind of like, here's a mob guy that ends up dying in this year because he gets shot in the head, and you're like, cool. But it was like they just kept doing that too much to me that I was like, I don't know where people are relevant, where they aren't, where people tie in. With the CGI, it felt like they were jumping around in the years quite a bit, that I was like, even though it was slow pace in my mind in a long movie, it was jumping all over that I was actually lost at times and I just couldn't get into it. And so it just distracted me from the whole thing. And then also, I think I was saying this earlier, but if you knew, I think, the Jimmy Hoffa story, I feel like it'd be more interesting, because there were definitely, to me, obvious moments where they were panning into a restaurant and they show the name of the restaurant, and if you knew the story, you'd be like, shit, someone's gonna die here. And I feel like you'd know. And to me, it was just kind of like they did it for a reason, but I didn't know. And it felt like it was like, okay, this movie's not for me.
I like that it was jumpy, though, because it made you sort of realize like how insignificant people could be, and you just not even know it. That was one thing.
I like that point.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about The Irishman?
I don't have that much to add to this movie. Again, I don't think it should be top 5 because it felt a little bit mediocre to me.
I
gonna paint the walls.
Nivala is gonna paint the walls with our blood.
Just watch out.
Our skin. I don't have much else to add to this movie. I also think that there's like, I mean,
I'm just
I know
telling
it's
you
the
guys, slim pickings.
I know it's The Irishman,
That's
but
not
like,
one of them. That's the slim ones.
I feel like the women in this movie too. Like, there's very little women in this movie, but there's just, which is not what we're nominating. Saoirse Ronan is not in this movie, but I just felt like there wasn't much for. And it just felt like a really big bro fest as well for me. Which a lot of Scorsese films are like that. It's just like, look at us dudes like killing other dudes and
But I mean,
whatever.
given the time and what it was, for not, I don't want to say historical accuracy, but I mean, like how many women were in the mob mafia driving that, especially the story. If it was not necessarily made up story, but something that they could tweak a little bit. Be a little different versus
it's a true story, right?
It's based off of
can't
true.
just add someone in
I
there.
don't know how much of it's factual, but you obviously can't tweak it too much. That if it is a bro fest in real life and you're trying to tell that
It's true,
with historical accuracy, you're not going to tweak that.
Yeah, it's true. I just meant like the lines that they did give to the women in the movie was like, it was just felt like whatever.
Yeah.
Let's just like
It was
fill it.
it was
whatever.
weaker. Yeah.
But I know that's not the film. It's just like, to me, like it's more to the point where it just felt like it was kind of mediocre at the end of the day. I'm sorry, Nivala. I think Irishman's leaving.
But I think it was like the perfect opportunity to get all those guys together
Yes.
for the Superstar movie. I think it was
Yeah.
the perfect
And the three of them,
opportunity.
like I said, like
They
them
did a good
together are
job,
so
yeah.
good together.
Yeah.
Just get a coffee together or something. You don't have to make a 3-hour movie to hang out. Like, they're all friends.
Yeah, I'm sure they hang out.
They
I'm
should do
sure.
a movie of them having coffee.
I mean, it would just be like
Half an
grown-ups and
hour.
grown-ups too.
Yeah.
Just pull it Adam Sandler, get a cottage and film it for a while and make it a movie.
It's a great idea.
Grown Ups 3. It's just fucking those three guys.
Or like, Daddy's Home. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is that the
Daddy's
Will
Home
Ferrell,
3. Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg,
Yeah,
And then Mel Gibson and
Yeah.
John Lithgow.
Yeah, John Lithgow. Yeah.
I haven't seen Daddy's Home, but
There's
I,
Daddy Home
What?
and Daddy's
It's
Home
Home
2.
2.
There's
Yeah.
2 of them.
I assume that
They're great.
there's a lot
Fun.
of blood in those movies.
Almost
a lot
as
of
good as
paint in the
Dora.
walls in those movies. Wow, we have a lot of heavy movies. I want to go to one that's like
Dora, let's just bring that one.
Okay, so we have JoJo, 1917, Uncut Gems, Parasite, Knives Out, and Us, and Booksmart. So that's 7. We need to
Okay,
cut 2
wait.
from the list, okay?
So wait, we have our shoe-ins though.
We
which
have our
are-
Jojo Rabbit, Parasite, and Knives Out are locks. Everything else is up in the air, but we needed to really just cut 2 from the list.
I thought Booksmart was, or like that was just to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, so I feel like I'm going to sit back on this one.
Okay. If there's any, I want to tackle it from this angle here. Is there
Okay.
any that you guys want to? Is there any 2 that you'd want to get off this list? I suppose.
Wait, what's left? What do you what do you have?
Without the
One, two,
shoe-ins.
yeah.
Ignore the shoe-ins.
I thought Wait, hold on. let me-
JoJo is a shoe-in with Knives Out and Parasite, so we don't even
Wait.
need to...
Joker's not a shoe-in.
Joker's not a shoe-in.
Joker's
So
not
we're
a
talking
shoe-in.
about which ones to get out of the list.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So Joker could be one of those.
Okay.
So we
we've
had
got
Booksmart,
Joker.
Joker,
Is there 2 that can leave the list safely? I think like
without saying Booksmart.
is Uncut Gems still on this?
Uncut Gems is here,
potential?
and I guess we can talk about that now
Yeah.
because I definitely see it in this crowd that it might not make the list, which is sad. But whatever.
What do you
In this
mean?
company,
I
I'm not really.
am a loyal Adam Sandler fan.
As
I know,
am
but
I.
this is not-
I
I
love
was-
him unironically.
I love him.
I think he's
in,
great.
Like
You
his
guys-
worst
you
movies.
haven't seen
and
it,
his
right?
best mo-
but we
no.
have not seen it.
That makes it so it's literally just between
But
tongue and eye.
I did see the Meyerowitz stories, and so I know like that he's.
Did you like those?
Pretty, I actually thought they were pretty good.
I thought they were all right.
Yeah.
A little slow.
Yeah, slow, but I mean that's sort of
That was
Adam.
yeah.
I'm like that's Adam Sandler and Ben Stiller when they get together,
Right.
and they're not being funny. Like this is just sort of what you expect from them.
yeah.
I think Uncut Gems should be off the list. While I did enjoy it, it made an honorable mention in my mind. I don't think it's top 5 worthy. But
Yeah.
people should see it.
Yeah,
I think
this is
people
sad
should
to
see
me.
it because it's also a movie not for everybody. That's what makes it hard too. Where it's gonna be pretty polar in terms of like I don't think people would just be like, It's either you really liked it or you really hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought, and to me, why I nominated it, like, there's some movies that I could arguably say in my honorable mentions list that I might actually rank higher than Uncut Gems. I really want to give props to Uncut Gems because it's also a very surprising movie. I did not expect this from Adam Sandler, nor did I expect this movie in general. Like, I did not. It makes me want to watch Good Times, which with Robert Pattinson, same director, because of like the energy that this director brings to this movie. It's very unique and something that I haven't seen before. This is tough for me. I don't know how to argue it, especially if the other person across from me.
It just is what it is.
thought
it is what it
We're
is.
It's an
cutting 2 of
honorable
them, right?
mention.
Yeah, we're gonna cut 2. Yeah, that's sad. But the other movies on this list are very good, minus maybe one, which I feel different about these days.
Listen.
Yeah, which one is that?
I'm okay with leaving Uncut Gems off the list, especially. Well, hopefully 1917 stays on the list.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll just say it's not for this group. You know,
Yeah.
Like
like
an
the reason,
honorable mention it.
like as Doug said, it's not for everyone.
Yeah, people
It's not
should
for me,
watch.
so-
I think it
Uncut
could
Gems.
to me. We'll talk about that one more. I think it's
Yeah.
still we're gonna have to
Yeah,
figure
we'll,
out where
we'll talk
it fits
about
in.
that more.
Okay.
Sorry, Adam Sandler. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
Please
Adam.
invite me to Grown Ups 3. Okay, so we need to cut one off this list. Is there any one off this list? Again, it's Jojo Rabbit, 1917, Parasite, Knives Out, Us, and Booksmart. Is there any off this list that stands out to us that we want to we think would make the chopping block?
I feel wrong about cutting Joker. But
Yeah.
what do you guys think? Because I'm getting the vibe in the room that Joker maybe.
I thought
should
that
not
was
be
a
on this list.
shoe-in. I thought it was going to be on the
I
list.
thought it was going to be a shoe-in too.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm surprised Booksmart has made it where it is today based on not, and it's hard because I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But just based off of how you're describing it, it doesn't seem like on the same caliber or style of movie that these other ones are.
Yeah.
While you can still have an enjoyable movie, and we'll talk about Endgame.
So fucking good.
It just feels like the other ones on this list, even ones that I think we're gonna cut, just are more powerful and just overall better films for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, I think that if there's anything to say about Booksmart, it's that it's possible that in a couple years that Booksmart might not make the same impact as these other movies on the film on this list. But I think it's also the most joyous movie on our list too,
Yeah,
which kind
for
of
sure.
I really
I haven't
like.
seen Dora.
You're right, I had not seen Dora.
And I think it's wrong to say it's not powerful or didn't have a really important message. But yeah, maybe not compared
I
to
just
Joker
think we haven't
necessarily.
had something like that come out in a while though,
Yeah,
and I
that's true.
really do appreciate that we had
Yeah.
something like that, because I think the last time we had a movie kind of sort of like that was probably like 2010.
Could you relate
That
it
was
to
a
other
little
movies
bit-
so I can try and relate to? Because I feel really bad too if I'm pushing it
Yeah.
out without the right information.
Like it's got a bit of a girl vibe to it,
Yeah.
kind of like Bridesmaids, where it's female led by
Mm-hmm.
the two of them.
I
But
guess
it-
the
yeah.
premise of the movie that might help you
Yeah.
is that it's these two book smart girls who've tried really hard in school to get into the perfect college or whatever, and
They've
they have never.
sacrificed their social life.
Exactly. They've never had fun in their lives throughout high school. Now it's like the last day before graduation, and they're like, holy shit, like everybody else has partied, but we've never partied. So let's like make the last night before graduation count.
Yeah.
And it's that night that they kind of snowball into. And so it's a very basic premise, like super
Yeah.
bad,
Yeah.
where they're just
Yeah.
really trying to find a party
Yeah.
to go to. It also reminds me of Good Boys too, same kind of premise.
Yeah.
But I feel like what they do with those characters and how they flesh them out is what sets it apart from like those other movies. Yeah.
I mean, like,
It's hard to-
would you put it at
Yeah.
the same level of 1917?
No.
No.
So
And like that to me is
Yeah.
like 1917 to me is like that one could seem, but it's like that just feels like a level up
Yep.
just based on the
tough
premise
because
of the
like
movie.
1917 is like a high budget Hollywood produced movie where like Booksmart is like it feels like an indie film. It feels like this is like
Yeah.
a small
Yeah.
but powerful movie that I really love. So it's hard because these other movies are like
is
backed
hard.
by like a
Yeah.
lot of money to make it look beautiful. But this movie is just like a simple but beautiful movie. Like there's a lot of like great
I
interpersonal
remember there was
connection
a
to
lot
it.
of like controversy about it too, because
Booksmart?
everyone was, yeah,
Was
I guess in comparison to what else was at the box office, and that a lot of people were commenting, did it come out around Endgame? Do you remember?
It came out at a weird time where people were not seeing Booksmart.
yeah, no, and
but-
then there was something else, like a huge movie. I
Yeah.
want to say it was Endgame, and everyone's like, well, of course, no one's gonna go see Booksmart, and like no one appreciates good filmmaking, and
Yeah.
it was a really big deal, I guess, in Hollywood.
Yeah, it was a really
with controlling the
well-reviewed-
box office, and
really
stuff
well
like that.
reviewed
So a lot
movie,
of-
but nobody was seeing it.
Yeah.
But it got enough buzz that people did eventually see it, and now
Kinda
now
like
it
came
got
back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it came back for sure. It only opened up in a few theaters too before it like kind of blew up. This is tough.
I clearly
tough.
really enjoy the business of the movie industry side. Like that's my favorite thing.
That's why you like Dora so much.
Bless it.
So
Dora made all the
business-oriented.
money.
Yeah.
I
She went on that scavenger hunt and she brought back all the gold.
Nivala.
Yes.
We'll try this and see if it works out.
Okay.
If there's one you had to cut from the list, what would you cut? So Jojo Rabbit, 1917, Parasite, Knives Out, Us, and Booksmart.
See, I was just gonna cut Us only because I haven't seen it, and I'm also scared of everything. So
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So we'll just say Us
Yeah.
for now. Doug.
I have a similar thing for Booksmart. I do want to see it. It does sound very interesting, and I think I would enjoy it. It sounds like a movie I'd like, but just in terms of how it's being talked about, it doesn't feel like we have 3 shoo-ins. So we
Yeah.
got 2 left for the top
Yeah.
5, and it just doesn't seem at the same level. So that would be mine, but definitely biased towards I haven't seen it. So
So it's really 1917 Joker and Us that we're fighting for,
Yeah.
right?
No.
And
Booksmart.
and Booksmart. So that's 4. Mel, what do you think?
It breaks my heart thinking about their dance moves in Booksmart, but I do think it needs to be cut from the top 5.
Yeah, it's for me. If I had to be honest, it'd be Us or Joker. probably leaning Joker, to be honest.
You
but
son
I
of a
feel like,
So,
bitch.
Tuong, what do
I
you
feel
not like
like-
about
Yeah.
Joker? What's holding you back?
All right, let's talk about Joker.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
I've been
Wait,
putting this-
so is Booksmart cut?
No.
Let's-
We're still
Because
the rest of the year.
I'm gonna say no for now because
Okay,
like,
okay,
that's
but
good.
Yeah.
I feel like it probably will with this crowd. I just kind of makes me sad.
Yeah,
I
me
guess
too.
because I like well-rounded lists, but we
that's
do
true.
have.
That's true.
Um,
It's not cut yet. It's not cut.
it's not.
Is
I just
that
yeah.
the purpose of getting a well-rounded list or a list we agree on?
Well, I want to agree with it too. Obviously, it's kind of like a little bit of both because we do have comedy in this as well, like with JoJo. And like
Knives
Parasite
Out.
and
Oh,
Knives
and
Out.
Knives Out.
But Booksmart is a
so, like,
different.
yeah, that's true.
Booksmart's different in the sense that it's almost like wholesome
and
in
and,
a
Yeah.
and the
different way.
indie vibe too. Like,
Yeah.
that's important.
But Joker to me, I'll say right now that I did like it. I think this movie has gone through such weird waves in social media and how people perceive this movie. You either hate this movie or you love this movie. And I feel like I'm in like the very small minority of like, I think this movie is now I feel like this movie is fine. And I think like when the movie came out, I was pretty positive on it. I like talking about like the theories behind it and like, is this a dream? Is it not a dream? Or like what's in his imagination and what's not. And I think to not the movie's fault, it's kind of like the discussions around the movie has exhausted me on Joker, the conversation, and to this to the point where I'm like, I see a tweet about the Joker and I kind of don't care because I don't want to interact with it anymore because I'm just tired of what people have to say about the Joker because a lot of people, it's just so hateful. Like you're like, this
Right.
movie's like will
That's true.
fucking ruin everything about like life and like they paint Joker as a hero and all this stuff. I'm like, well, I don't necessarily agree with that, but I also don't agree with the other end of the spectrum too. But the whole conversation about the Joker has really worn me out. And
Yeah.
now it's almost like it wasn't worth it because like looking back on the Joker, like the movie itself, now I've landed in the spot where it's fine.
Yeah.
I think there's like the way I actually feel about it is like I think there's moments in the movie that just went on too long. I think there's too many like parts in the movie where it's just Joaquin Phoenix, and they talked about this too. That Todd Phillips was saying, Joaquin Phoenix, do whatever you want, and we'll just film it, and we're gonna put it in the movie. So he's just like acting like Joker. He's acting like
Right.
this really crazy person, and theoretically it's really well acted, right? Like he's doing like this crazy shit, but what that adds to the actual film itself, like I don't know. I think you kind of get diminishing returns. You're like, okay, here's a crazy Joker moment, he just does another crazy Joker moment here, but how does that actually like fit into the story?
But I think it just emphasizes how unstable he is and just
Yeah.
not aware of what's going on. Like, because
Yeah.
I agree, there are scenes. So I won't say that there aren't scenes that are like, holy shit, that was just really weird. Do they add that? Why did they keep that in there?
Yeah.
It's like there's scenes. Wait, everyone's seen it, right?
Yeah.
I think so. Like the scene after he kills the people on the subway,
Yeah.
and he goes into the bathroom and just starts dancing, and he dances for an extended period of time. But it's like it just shows how mentally unstable and messed up what's going on. And so all of those scenes, while they might drag on, it's just like it's meant you to feel like you're literally going, "What the fuck is happening?" And it's pushing for that feeling, and it worked in every scene. To me, it worked.
Yeah, to me, like they did scenes like this, but it just kept hitting the same points for me. It's like it almost seemed redundant. Like it was just like a circular. It's just like, okay, we see more of these scenes of like Joker being unraveled and crazy or whatever, but it never kept elevating the point. It was just like, this is the same point over and over again, and it kind of drew stale for me. I don't want to shit talk this movie. I did like this movie. I just don't think it's as important as the media has made it become. And I don't know if that's the problem of the movie or the people that are talking about this movie.
Oh, it's probably a combination, to be honest.
Yeah. Because people are like either hailing this movie as one of the best comic book films of all time, and I strongly disagree with that. But I also
Is that being said that often?
yeah, because
Wait,
like
what part of the interwebs are you on? Where
Are
you
you
see
on
this?
Twitter?
I'm on Twitter,
Twitter?
like kind of like absorbing what people have to say about Joker. and
But
stuff.
okay, so separating like the entire social media buzz around it.
Yeah.
How is
Yes.
the movie though?
That's what I'm
Because
saying, like,
it sounds like
it's-
you're a little
I'm a little close to
clouded
it,
by the
but I think
buzz.
I went to this like in the way that like a lot of people talked about. I think this movie was fun to talk about, because there's like, why did this happen? Why did this movie happen? Is this real? Whatever, and you can really talk about that movie in that sense. And you had to go external to also hear other people's thoughts on the movies, to hear their interesting takes about it. And because I went external, I think I flew too close to the sun.
You went too deep.
And
You
now
went too deep.
it's like
Can't
my
go back.
mind is flooded with like, I don't know how I feel about the movie anymore. I also think like the Batman connections they make in the movie, in some senses, they feel like
yeah.
irrelevant. And I also think, and this is hard to say for sure, but the fact that they're now considering making a Joker 2 takes away that ending for me.
I'd agree, but
Yeah.
that shouldn't
I know.
ruin the movie
No,
itself.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I want to bring that up because I think like it's a more powerful ending if this is a one and done movie,
Yeah.
right? To say that like, you know what? We made a lot of money. Let's make a second one.
Let's kill Batman's dad again.
Yeah, so I'm just like, to me, like, I know that's not the movie, but that's what I'm saying about the Joker conversation is it's just so exhausting in my mind in such a whatever movie to me now. But I think Joaquin Phoenix kills it. So, yeah. I know I'm not convincing you guys with that, but I just don't love it.
I don't think the argument really lands where you're saying this isn't a top movie because I'm so exhausted of hearing about it. It almost
That's
argues
the other
the
opinion.
opposite.
Yeah. So many people are talking about it. So
But
many
not
people
positively. That's the thing. It's like so many people are talking.
But it's not like
But
top
you're
movies
looking
you have
for
to
it.
see because we like it, really. It's
Yeah.
like, it's just so good that you have to see it.
Also, if you're Googling why is Joker shit, you're going to find bad reviews tons.
Yeah.
So maybe
No,
change your search.
No. I more Googled like what what happened in the movie or what you think was real and what was not and what
Yeah.
people thought about certain moments in it. But yeah, I also think like it was just maybe too long in some senses. Like I did feel like it's said the same thing over and over again. Yeah, I get he's unraveling. I get he has mental problems. But I think again, this might be like projections of other people's opinion. This was my opinion too of like what it has to say about society and how it has to say about mental illness is a tricky topic, which makes Joker an interesting movie and why I can see it being a top 5 movie of the year, because it I think to some successes it walks the line of like, is it saying something important about society and people who have mental illness and how we deal with it and how if we treat people poorly, if they can become these monsters and demons, and can we actually root for someone like this, right? It's an interesting conversation for sure, but I don't know. That's probably my
We
reservation.
remain
I
to
don't.
be unconvinced.
Yeah, that's fair. I just want you to hear me on this.
We're picking up what you're laying down, though.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I like the subtle puns too of throwing the walk the line in there too with Joaquin Phoenix. That's
walk.
good. No, because he's in Walk the Line. I want to make that
Yeah.
clear. He's in the movie.
Walk the line.
and her and the mask. Okay, cool. So and Us was the other one.
Yes.
I left that movie loving it and just can't stop thinking about it. I
Yeah.
put it on. It's on my top 10.
Okay.
Like
Right.
I do really like it in there. I think if there's gonna be a trade-off, and I think there will be a trade-off for these top 5, Us to me would have to drop out, but it would be like number 6
Right.
in my mind.
Right.
But again, I'm biased with the Booksmart,
Yeah.
Right.
so I'm a little like
Yes.
over of Us over Joker. It's pretty close, but like I'd say Joker for me.
Same
I don't
thing-
know.
same
I
thing?
love the film. I thought it was amazing. I do think it should be locked in. Just because when we are speaking about what's important, what is a movie, what's the message? What is it talking about? It's talking about classism. It's talking about how difficult it is to move out of poverty. And I think that is something that's really relevant, especially this year.
Yep.
I thought it nailed it. It was definitely subtle. Like maybe not everyone got it. But when you do get it, you're like, wow, that's a great way to portray it's easy to get into poverty. It's very hard to get out. And what does that look like? And the whole trade-off, I thought the whole story was very, very unique. Like
Yeah.
that has never been done in horror where you're like the trading of lives or whatever.
Does
it
it
was very
play
cool.
off the themes of Parasite then?
It's the same
similar,
theme, but
similar.
told differently.
I'm
I would
just
say.
too scared to even look at the trailer,
It
so
was,
I can't.
honestly, I thought it was a pretty scary movie. I am a
Yeah.
wimp, but
Yeah.
it was pretty scary. I
Yeah.
thought,
I've only seen it
yeah.
once.
I do
Yeah.
like that take though on it.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, I really liked Us too. I don't really. I have a hard time with this list at this point.
And you know what? It was almost like a metaphor of like just capitalism in general, right? Where it's like they have a great life, but what does it take to have a great life? Someone else has to have a not great life. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
And it kind of portrayed it in a very like real and introspective way.
It was kind of a polar movie too, though, right? Like a lot of people were taking the, I'm going to do it in air quotes, like loopholes,
Right.
like to me a little too seriously in my mind. I mean, it's when you have those kind of movies where it's obviously not meant to be
Yeah, that's true.
realistic.
That's
Like
true.
you have to have that dissonance to understand, okay, this isn't like fully realistic, and they set the rules for their own universe. But I feel like a lot of people were taking some of that too literally as well and being
Yep.
like, well, this doesn't make sense if this happened because of this. And it's like, well, I mean, you got to separate, like,
Oh, that's true.
obviously this isn't real.
Yeah.
So you got to separate that sense of realism and like what you have to accept. But it's, I just wanted to bring it up that it was, especially it was also following the footsteps of Get Out.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was polarized that I think a lot of people had high expectations. I felt it met them and it was very good, but a lot of people felt it was weaker and then I think put it even lower.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they were expected to be like just as good, if not better. And then we're like, nope, wasn't as good. So I didn't like it.
Yeah, I think that's unfair for sure.
I
yeah,
agree, but I think
yeah.
that's where like a lot of the negative reviews were kind of coming from.
Yeah. That's what I mean by like us in like taking chances. Like I think like it's very easy for an artist to be like, oh, I made a success and let's just do a safe like lob basically for my next movie so I
Yeah.
can still continue to ride this like gravy train in a way. But also like Jordan Peele to create this like upside down universe or whatever, dual like, you know, lives of these like doppelgangers.
Yeah.
I thought was really fun and it tried to send out this message. To me, it worked for sure, but I definitely heard the like, oh, like whatever, like these loopholes in these movies, that doesn't make sense or whatever, like whatever. I don't like that
It's
conversation.
like everyone has
too.
doppelgangers and you're throwing out these weird loopholes being like, okay, so, like, relax.
And to be fair, like the same thing with us started happening with me with Joker. The only thing that stuck is
yeah.
because Joaquin Phoenix was so good as Joker, this movie stayed and us
Right.
was left behind, and that's almost kind of sad. I feel like us doesn't deserve that.
I know. And let's not
Yeah.
forget about how funny it was. And
Yeah.
you, with like the twin girls, like that was just so crazy the
Yeah.
way they were acting. And it was out of this world, really.
Okay, I think at this point it feels like Booksmart is going to
That's
leave.
what it sounds like.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so Booksmart's gone, and what we have left is Jojo Rabbit, 1917, Parasite, Joker, Knives Out, and Us. I lied. There is 6. Damn it, we gotta fight some more. I feel
really
good about.
just between 1917
I feel good
and
about
Us.
getting out of Booksmart. For
But
now.
is it, or is Joker also in there?
You guys know how I feel. I'll add one last thing about Joker, and I always feel bad about like ripping movies apart, even though I do enjoy a lot of them. Is that Joker also had a lot of just chain smoking scenes, just like no seriously, like if
Get
you
outta
watch
here.
seriously if
Get
you
outta
watch
here.
Joker, a lot of scenes is just him smoking pensively looking out, and he's just you can tell there's like an internal thing going in his head. They don't show it. It's fine. I'm fine. Like
You're surprised they don't show the internal things going in his head.
no, it's just there's
Are you anti-chain smoking? Is that what you're
The
saying?
impossible thing of showing what's going on in someone's mind.
It should have been a bubble.
Well, I
like,
mean-
you know, those.
Yeah, I thought. Oh, you know what?
cartoon
Yeah,
bubbles.
cartoon thought
Yeah.
bubble with a cartoon Joker.
Yeah.
With maybe Mark Hamill being the voice of his like inner Joker.
Hey, that'd be amazing. Hey,
I'm into it.
Listen, we should
you're
be
selling me on this
directors.
movie.
Yeah.
You're selling me on this movie. But no, I it's more that like you see, and I invite you to watch this movie again. Is that one of the things I
I
did?
just watched it yesterday.
Okay, I the one thing I noticed coming out of the movie the first time was just like, hey, there sure was a lot of smoking scenes. I want to smoke right now. And I was like, why do I want to smoke? Oh, it's because
Yeah.
every scene in that movie is someone lighting up a new cigarette. That's not a fault to the movie and I said like, I hate this movie because of
Should
this.
they have included
It's just-
PSAs?
no, it's more like I felt like instead of showing us more of the same type of like let's light up another cigarette type of scene, let's show me something new.
Do some cocaine or something.
Do some cocaine off someone's ass. I don't care. That'd be so great. How did the De Niro death scene work for you? Like, did that impact you? Like,
Oh, that was unbelievable. I thought, well, because the whole lead up to that part, right, was he was practicing the routine, going on stage, gonna tell the joke, and he thought he was gonna kill himself. Right? Like he does the joke being like knock knock and then pulls the trigger on himself, and you're like expecting you don't necessarily know, okay, is he actually gonna kill himself or is he gonna do the fake kill himself? But you're not expecting what happens. And so when he just
Yeah.
immediately is like, fuck it, and then and you're just like
Yeah.
literal shock.
It was shock.
And to me is actually, I'm going to relate it to 1917 of that one scene with the tripwire where you're like, something's going to happen and you're expecting it to like kind of settle a little bit. And then it just like bam,
Yeah.
shit hit the fan, and it just blew me away. And watching it again, and it actually feels like one of those movies where you need to let it. You can't watch it again right away, because
Yeah.
you know a
Oh,
lot of
for
it.
sure.
But that scene still blew me away. Phenomenal,
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Yeah, it was
And
phenomenal.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was I did like that too. In Dark Knight Returns, you guys don't read comic books, do you?
I don't know. How to
There's
read.
a very similar scene where Joker is invited as a TV guest, and what happens in the comic books is that he actually like sends out this laughing gas that kills the entire audience. So
Oh, really?
much
Pretty
more.
intense.
Wow.
It's much more intense. That's kind of what I was expecting. So I did like that whole scene. It's just that it was like I was expecting a different scene.
almost like anticlimactic relative to
To-
what you were expecting.
yeah, I just like that fell short for me. Is kind of where
So I think it was in watching it again. The second time was just as powerful, just as crazy, just as mind blowing.
yeah. Maybe it's like a powerfully depressing film as well, which I guess is also that's the thing is like in a when you're talking about movies that are uncomfortable for you, I think Joker like it's almost like a try hard is like I'm as the director going to make you uncomfortable, right? Uncut Gems was a different story for me. Was like it just is an uncomfortable story because it's uncomfortable. I feel like Joker was just like, I'm gonna make you uncomfortable now. I'm gonna keep putting this like theme of depression to make you feel sad as an audience member. And maybe like looking back, I don't appreciate that as much as a message, which is why A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood was very uplifting for me because it's just about this man who's talking about the good in the world. And then Joker was just like, you know what? Things suck. Everything that people do to you is going to make you go crazy, and then you're going to kill all. I know that's very reductive.
But what if
Like,
that's
that was
like,
the kind of year this year.
Yeah.
but what if that's
with
just
movies?
real
Yeah.
for people
True.
too, though,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the other thing. What if that is just that was his life?
Yeah.
That is people's
yeah, yeah.
lives where it is shit. That's all it is,
Yeah.
and it gets pushed down. Like people are saying it's not that bad, and it's like it is.
I'm more curious to see where Joker gets sent next if they do a sequel to this movie. Obviously, this Joker was, to me, this was never like, we don't have to talk about like theory or whatever, but mostly it was like, this cannot be the Joker that we see in Batman for sure. Because of the way they wrote the canon and whatever. It's like, no way did Joker kill Batman's parents or whatever. Or more specifically, Joker in every iteration of comics is a smart guy who can plan methodically this like master heist. This Joker is not that Joker. He's just
That's
a
true.
mentally ill
Yeah.
person. I wonder, do they make good on a promise if they do a Joker 2 to bring it forward? And I'm not confident they would. But anyways, I know we're talking about this movie and I'm not convincing anyone with that. So mostly, I guess 1917 versus Us is what we landed
Okay.
on. Thoughts?
Very conflicted. I love them both. I don't know, guys. I can't choose. I love them both. So
It's Us for me.
I haven't seen Us, but it sounds very convincing to me. That's what I gotta say.
It's really funny because I love Us. For the cinematic and feeling that 1917 wasn't necessarily for me, I was actually going to let 1917 sneak in over Us as a top 5.
Oh,
Sheerly,
yeah.
sure, like by the being convinced on your side of what you appreciated, because I appreciated a lot out of it as well. But to me, I think Us was a more enjoyable film for myself. But I can see why 1917 makes it in there.
Yeah.
So I'd actually sway on the side of 1917 for making
Okay.
it over.
I should
Us.
have mentioned. I think I worded that wrong. Us was supposed to be cut when I said it's Us.
Oh,
for me.
okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
I don't want to.
You have a way with words.
Yeah, I didn't want to
Right.
interrupt you. Yeah. Now I'm in 3 beers deep, baby, and a coffee. No, I did mean Us would be the one for me to just
Yeah.
slightly get off the list.
Just
okay.
slightly. Just slightly.
That's the thing. I'd be like,
Yeah.
it's like a 5.1.
Yeah.
Five
on the
point one.
list.
I love
I
it.
also really, really loved Us as
Mm-hmm.
well. But yeah, because of those reasons of to me, this was like a movie.
Yeah.
1917 was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
this is like, I want to, this doesn't work in any other medium. In the way that like you can write this in a book, not the same effect at
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
all, right? Even in a video game, for example.
That's so true.
Not
That's
the
a great
same
point.
even. Like if this was a video game, this would be an on rails experience where you're kind of like a first person, like, but you're completely guided.
Yeah.
I think it would be like a pretty bad video game, to be honest. But
If you do it right, it'd be like
I
The
guess-
Last of Us.
but it, like because this movie was like on rails, cause like one shot, right? It'd have to be more.
Oh,
like
yeah,
a House of the Dead. Like this is like a you don't get control of how your
I
character
agree,
moves.
yeah,
You just
yeah.
have to
Right.
let this character move and do whatever.
I agree from that perspective.
So this
yeah.
felt like a movie, which
Yep.
I really like. And I'm a sucker for one shots as well. And
What other one shots are there? I'm not sure. I don't really-
Birdman.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah,
Movies
yeah.
or movies or even TV shows that are like this shot was in one shot. I'm always
Yeah.
like, oh, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Can we throw some? Was it 30 Rock that did it? 2 live shows that were all one
Really?
shot.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
The Master of None did a couple too, where it wasn't the whole show, but it was like long, really drawn out
Really?
periods
Yeah.
where it was just the one
really?
camera.
Oh.
That- I
True
really
Detective
like that
did
too.
it. Season
really?
1
Yeah.
did it. Daredevil season 1 did or 3 did it.
Yeah.
Or,
Modern Family's done it.
like anytime
Okay, yeah.
or Game of Thrones have done it. Anytime they do a one shot, I'm like, I'm so blown away because I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's very
well,
cool.
What if someone fucks up?
Yeah.
What are they gonna do? I guess do it again. I think us should probably go.
5.1.
Yeah.
5.1.
Yeah.
Okay, holy shit. Jojo Rabbit, 1917, Parasite, Joker, and Knives Out. Wow, this is quite the top 5 here. I feel like feelings are already hurt. Thank you, Doug, for sending those my way. I've been shielding them with my. You can't see this, and the audience can't see this either. But I am broken inside. I'm very sad. No, let's start with number 5. What is our number 5 movie, and we'll work up to 1.
Joker at 5.
That's how I feel.
1917.
I would have to say Joker at 5.
Come on.
Oh, there we go.
No, it's okay. I'm okay with those being interchangeable.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty confident with the top 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we locked them.
We locked the top. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm okay with Joker too. Like making this list, I want to be clear, is because like I feel like also because of the impact it's made this year as well. I think it's worth like talking about in the first place, and I don't mind it being a number 5 because of the discussion around it, I suppose. Now, 4 probably 1917, I suppose at this point, right?
I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's suppose we agreed on. Forgot we all agreed on the top 3 hours ago.
And the last is Jojo Rabbit, Parasite, and Knives Out. Here we go. It's easy in my mind.
I would tell
It's easy in my mind. Oh, this could
easy
be.
in my
Can we
mind.
do like a blind thing? Like that would be hilarious. Like with the cards or something.
Wait. At the count of 3, we say what number 3 is.
Number
Okay, ready?
3.
Okay.
Wait. Let me. Wait, I want
Okay.
to make sure.
Okay, I'm gonna
Wait, what-
say
wait,
what
wait,
I
wait.
think it.
Okay,
What
ready?
are the yeah. Okay.
Okay.
No, we're gonna. I know we're gonna disagree on this, so that's fine. I'm ready.
That's all right. 1, 2, 3.
Knives
Knives
Jojo
Out.
Rabbit.
Get out of here, Doug.
Oh,
We all did. We all
What
say
did you
different
Doug?
things.
What
I
did
said
you
Knives
say?
Out.
I said Knives Out.
No.
It's just you, Doug.
You're killing me.
Wow. No, let's talk about this because obviously, with that in mind,
Yeah.
let's not talk about it. I think we all know what number 1 is.
Yeah.
But
Are we?
I don't think we do.
I don't think we do.
I don't think we do.
I think I do, but I think Mel is like disagreeing.
holy shit. Okay.
But if I feel like I can read the room, but I don't know if Mel thinks she can read the room too, so I have no idea.
I feel like we're aligned. I don't know. Who knows?
Doug
Who knows?
thinks we want to play
No,
poker
yeah.
with you. It's so. Does she? Doesn't she?
Okay.
Love it.
Let's talk about number 3 then.
Knives Out. It was.
I think
It was a
Knives
good.
Out
It was a
because
fun
it
ride,
was
but not
fun.
like
It was amazing, but
not as great as the other. Like for ranking them.
Yeah, Knives Out, phenomenal film. I had so much fun with it. I definitely the best whodunit I've seen.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
I
yeah,
like it better
yeah.
than Clue. I think the cast and ensemble was really good.
and turns.
Lots of twists and turns and like really great personality. I think the thing above these other two that don't like the other two movies speak to me more is that it has a message behind it. But B, like it also made me feel something that wasn't just like, this is a good movie. It made me feel like, it made me think about other things in the world. And those movies, like I still think about the themes of those movies and how I can carry on to like my everyday life. Where Knives Out, I'm just like, that was a kick-ass movie. I want everybody to see this movie. But I don't necessarily be like, you're going to learn something from this movie. This movie's going to stick with you after. in
don't
that
forget
sense.
though, it did have a pretty good message about immigrants coming in and the USA attitude.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty prominent and just done really really
Comparative.
well.
Could never remember where she was from.
That was such a good such a good.
Started
guess-
off very
Yeah.
subtle, and then it was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like, oh yeah, you're trying to hit this home pretty hard.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a very
yeah.
smart movie.
Yeah.
And it
Oh,
portrays
yeah, for sure.
itself as like, I'm a smart movie. And I think it lives up to that promise where it is. Like,
Well, that's the thing though. Like all of them, all the top 3, very smart well written, and I think if I'm not wrong, they're all up for best original screenplay.
I don't know if
I don't know.
JoJo,
Yeah,
sorry,
I don't-
JoJo is maybe an
Adapted?
adaptive.
Yeah.
So that was the other thing, though, that was like the slight tweak in criteria for me. While I feel JoJo did have a powerful message,
Yeah.
very strong emotionally, something about coming up with something so fresh, so new, the creativity involved in coming up with that, especially something that's a complex whodunit story where you think it's so... I don't think anyone thinks it's easy to do a whodunit, but to actually do it and make it land and for people to sit there and go, I actually didn't see that coming, is to me one of the hardest things to do, to have a twist that's actually a true twist. And that's, to me, is what tipped it over the edge, where I'm like, Knives Out was just unbelievably unique and different and so well written, and the talent involved to make that happen. It's a little something special.
Yeah, I agree with everything
Yeah.
you're saying. I guess to me,
Yeah.
like JoJo hits harder for me. Like I think it just makes me so happy thinking about Jojo Rabbit. Like
Exactly.
I look at Jojo Rabbit and I'm like, look how much fun Taika Waititi's having right
Yeah.
now, just jumping and frolicking as Hitler, and like these kids who
The cutest kids
Roman
they
Griffith
could've
Davis.
found.
He
Yeah.
is such an amazing kid. Even the I
Yuri?
forget her, the other girl in this movie.
Yeah,
she was so good too, and like. There's just something magical about like the beginning of the movie is very Moonrise Kingdom-y, where it's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
here's these kids at camp, but they're at Nazi camp. It's really funny to me.
It's funny you bring that movie up too, because I have something with, I feel like kid actors have there's a challenge to actually be strong actors. I feel like JoJo did a very good job.
Yep.
That I
Yeah.
didn't have that, because I find in a lot of cases, and actually the one you just said, and why is the name?
Moonrise Kingdom.
Yeah, Moonrise
Yeah.
Kingdom, where
Yeah.
I actually I can't get into some of those movies because I feel like they just the kid actors don't land for me, and it takes away from it. And JoJo didn't have that, so it's more praise to JoJo that it's just like I feel like they crushed it with who they casted and the actual execution of the roles.
Yeah, Taika Waititi
Yeah,
to me
he
is
did.
like the new Wes Anderson. Like Wes Anderson has a very distinct, like colorful, interesting style, and it's. I usually really love his films, but Taika has the human emotion as well as the humor is what it is. His humor is so
Yes.
fresh
Yeah.
in Hollywood and in general that I just fucking love it. And I think like now that we're talking spoilers, I think the way they handle Scarlett Johansson's
Is-
death
yeah.
in the movie
Yeah.
fucking killed me.
Oh, just
Yeah.
just
Like,
crushes you
I
because
was
you're
dead.
And I think that's
Yeah.
really what pushes it to over number 3.
That's what-
or
like-
above
Oh,
number 3.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. It does add an extra level, but I think it's
Yeah.
just the uniqueness of Knives Out to me. That's what's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love what we're talking about this. Like we already know what number 1 is,
Yeah,
but to me, that's just like I'm gonna. It seems like I'm gonna be overrun here, but I'm gonna die on this hill where
That's okay.
I
No,
do
no.
think that
You should die on the hill.
JoJo belongs on at 3 on the list.
That's fair. Yeah.
I'm not convinced, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to convince you guys either.
Now you know how it feels with Joker. It hurts, doesn't it? I have to deal with this for 77 episodes of Rent. No, I was also thinking like Scarlett Johansson's role as like this positive energy in the movie where she's
Yeah.
just so uplifting and she just wants to
Oh,
do
man.
good, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when she says things like, what did they do wrong? What did they do? What they could, and that really speaks to me.
Yeah.
It's like she, as a mother, is just trying to live through, and she makes you relate with Germany, right? Like in the
Yep.
sense that like
Right.
when people are like all Nazis are bad, they almost like equate it to like all Germany is bad. And it's like
Yeah.
no, this woman just wants the war to end. She loves her country, but she just wants the war to end so people can be happy. So like the scene where it breaks my heart to think about it is like when she talks about her father or the son was talking about where's dad.
Right.
Oh yeah,
And she
I was just
plays-
gonna bring that
She
up. Oh
plays
yeah.
the dad. She
Oh
puts
my
the
God.
the,
Yeah.
the coal on her face, and it's a funny scene until it's just like this is so sweet.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
she's just hugging her son in the room and dancing and just pretending to be the husband and the wife at the same time, and it's just like it kills
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Also, the uplifting part at the very end is when they dance at the end, right? It's when those
yeah.
two kids are just looking at each other,
Yeah.
and it's just like they set up so perfectly. Like, what are you gonna do once you're free? It's like I'm gonna dance, and they're just dancing, and you just feel so good.
I'm like crying
Yeah.
and laughing at the same time. It's so conflicting.
It made me feel a
Yeah.
lot. I
Yes,
think that's why
exactly.
it wins over Knives Out. It's like I love Knives Out. It's just like JoJo, I was tearing up.
Yeah.
Whereas Knives Out, I'm just like, fuck yeah, that was sick.
Maybe I just don't have feelings.
That's okay.
I was
the number
it
one
was a
movie-
joke. I have feelings.
yeah.
Fuck you guys.
He cried at the end of Joker when he killed Robert De Niro. De Niro. Oh, which means you cried at the end of Irishman too.
Because it was over. I was so happy.
Okay, I feel okay about Knives Out hitting 3.
Yes.
Is that where
Yep.
we're kind of at?
And I kind of feel like Knives Out is okay with that too.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of what it was aiming for. Like, it wasn't trying to be the best movie.
Every movie's trying to be the best movie, Mel.
No, I don't know. I think it was just trying to have fun, and
Yeah.
it executed it perfectly.
Let the record show that Doug disagrees, but the record has shown it. So
But we can appreciate his position.
yes, so 3 Knives Out, now 2 and 1. Now I'm curious, Mel.
Yes.
Go ahead, tell me.
Okay, I think JoJo is number 1.
Saw that coming.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Nivala, what's number 1?
Parasite.
Parasite.
Endgame. No, it's Parasite.
Okay, I respectfully totally understand where you're coming from.
You're too nice. See how like Doug put his life on the line
Yes,
here?
see, Doug, this is how it's done. This is how it's done.
You're a better person than I am.
No, I want to let's talk about Parasite because sometimes we do rankings and then we're like we say what number 1 is, but we don't say why it should be number 1. Let's fight for it in the way that's like, why do you guys think Parasite belongs as number 1? The
It was
two other
just,
people.
it was just so good. I was just like, it was so good. It was very unexpected, but I like the way that it was done in that it tackled so many sort of serious elements with the whole like class system and being able to like not being able to sort of achieve your goals in the way that you want to and be able to provide yourself with the way that you'd like to. But it was more fun about it, and it was just like it was quirky. That's what it was. Like it was very
right?
like quirky, and it wasn't something that you would expect from a movie like that. Especially like as you referred to before, when you see the poster, you even look at the name, you're just kind of like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a real
looks
rough
like a
ride.
horror movie.
And then you go in and you're like, oh, actually, you know, this is pretty fun. And then you like start to really
Until
develop.
it's not.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you start to develop like a relationship really with them, and you're just kind of like, okay, yeah, you know, I can see where you guys are coming from, and I get this. I don't know.
And it
That's
was I agree. And well, it's also you're throughout the movie, you're figuring out who you want to root for and who you want to side for, and that changes.
Yes.
And I think the twist that they pull you in, and it just keeps changing. The ability to keep you on edge, uneasy, and you're kind of like you're waiting for that thing to happen, and something kind of happens, and you're like, I don't know if that's it, but like it took you to that next level, and it just kept leveling up in terms of intensity.
Yeah.
And then throughout the thing, you're like, yeah, wait, what do I want to have happen here? Because you're just like, these are all terrible people.
Yeah.
It was like the
Right?
opposite of Booksmart. In Booksmart, everyone was a good person.
Yeah.
In Parasite, everyone has a bad side, and you get to see it all.
And so you're like finding internally, you're like, what's the lesser of all these evils? Where you're like, oh yeah, these people deserve to have something, but it's like they're also pieces of shit because they're taking advantage of these people.
Yeah.
But the people they're taking advantage, it's kind of like, you know, they're being blind to this and not really, you know, putting.
Right.
I don't know. It just
They don't also like the higher class people don't like really care about the people who are
No,
like
they
everyone's
don't.
re-
That's true.
replaceable.
Well, that's the thing. Like how instantly they were like, oh, I need to replace my driver because of this one incident. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's like, and like, so they just don't care because like we have the money, we can do this. So you don't know who, and I think throughout, at least personally, when I was watching it, you're originally siding with the like, yeah, it's crazy how it's happening, but you're kind of like, great, they're finally gonna get us some money and they're gonna like ideally, you know, better their lives and get out of it a little bit. But over time, you're like, no, these. And I mean, that's why it's Parasite. It's called Parasite.
Yeah.
You know, they're infectious, right? And they're sucking the life out of these people. But
they're doing it to survive like a parasite,
Yeah.
right? Like they're only
Yeah.
doing it because they need to get out of their shitty
But they didn't even get out of it. That's the other thing,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
they
They
stayed
tried.
in it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. They were like, oh, we have money now. Let's buy good food and drinks. But it was like they probably could have tried to be a bit more sustaining. But they were like, nope, we're going to continue
Yeah.
to take
The
advantage of
greed,
this.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so even though they had the money, and now that they had the money, they transitioned from going from very poor to having some money. They still didn't. They didn't reflect and go, how can I now long term have this be beneficial? They just said, screw it, let's just keep doing what we're doing. I also went into this movie blind. I intentionally did that, and I feel like that made it insanely good.
Oh, 100%.
Like I was like, I'm not gonna watch anything about this. I watched like half a trailer, and it was just like more of a horror vibe, and I'm like, nope, gonna watch it. And like going in blind, because like I think if you know going into it, again, we've already had a bunch of spoilers, but if you know going into it that like the family slowly kind of gets involved and like comes in, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And so as it was happening, you're like, this is fucking insane. You're like, this family is crazy smart, but they're also like terrible people.
Yeah.
And you're just mind blowing. And that's not even like the biggest part of the movie. That's not even
Yeah.
like top
Right.
5 as most important things of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in any other movie, that would be
That's
crazy
what I was
important.
talking about earlier. Is the movie, the first half I would say is a comedy. Everything is just like oh, this is a ridiculous
An amazing,
turn
almost
of
like a
events.
heist movie too.
Yeah,
where they're
That's
just,
that's a
infiltrating,
great
yeah.
description
Let's
of it.
start
Yeah.
with like the son who becomes the tutor, and then let's get the sister involved as the art therapist, and then the dad, and then the mom, and then they're all involved, and everyone's having a fun time, and then they're all drinking in the living room, and then the turn of the movie, the wrinkle is like the people or the husband
Yeah.
living in the basement, and that's when they start reflecting on like the true themes of the movie, right? Of
I think
class.
you see it before too, though. You get the sense that okay, this something isn't going to end right. They're already starting to not make good decisions,
Yeah.
and then the tension starts, and then
Yeah.
things really.
You're right. The
snowball.
tension's already there
Yeah.
a
But-
bit before, but there's...
And you're like, where is this movie going to take us? Because
Yeah.
I would say like everything before that movie is very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the movie, right?
and light. It's very
Yeah.
light.
Yeah.
you
And
know?
then the husband in the basement gets involved into the movie,
Oh,
and
man.
then
Yeah.
and then the caretaker comes back to see your husband, and then there's that.
Yeah.
that scene,
That scene was
when it was like
amazing.
raining, you're like, why is she coming back?
Yeah.
And you're like, something's not right.
yeah.
I want to give props to Bong Joon-ho in the way he directs the movie too. It's like I watched like this huge deconstruction of like cinematography, and I think the way they portray, and I would invite you guys to do the same, people at home as well, is that like they have the way they shoot people in the lower class family, everything is shot down upon. So you look at it and it's just down.
Yeah.
And at the very beginning of the movie, they kind of pan down to their basement. Apartment, but everything going up into the rich family is like looking up.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you'll also
Yeah.
see the distinction of how they use the framing in the movie, where everybody, no matter where they are, is the lower class is always on one side of the frame, and the other, the rich people are on the
Yeah.
other side of the frame. So they're
Right.
never like truly together. They're
Integrated.
always
Yeah.
just split. And it's just like these little things that you're like, holy, there's so much care in this movie
Yeah.
that it's so good.
So thought out.
Yeah.
It's even though it looks simple, but if you rewatch the movie again, just watch for those like things. You're like, holy shit! Like all these things, the way it's framed is like telling the story of class just through cinematography alone.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
And the scene where the rainstorm starts, they got to go down
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
where
down.
they live.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
yeah.
always go
yeah,
down.
That's true.
Yeah.
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 And they'd been talking about cockroaches this whole time, and
Yeah.
then they're just like scurrying away into the basement, and it just was like that
And
really sold it
that,
for me.
That scene is afterwards, the day after the rich family, nothing happened to them.
Oh my God.
Everything
Yeah.
is
no, it was
sunny.
good.
Yeah.
It was good, right? What something good happened or something?
Yeah, everything's sunny. The son or
Yeah.
their son is just sleeping in the backyard.
Yeah,
no
yeah,
problem.
yeah. Yeah.
Everybody else had to sleep in a gym that night because everything
Right.
got over flooded.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Well, they had the... No,
Yeah.
didn't they host the party the next day? It was sunny.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they called them all and were like, hey, we'd love to have you at this party. Hey, can you... Like, they all got called individually. But you're right. They're like, oh, yeah, it was just a rainstorm.
No big deal.
Let's have a bunch of people
That's not
over,
big.
Yeah.
like, ad hoc party.
Yeah.
And then
Love
like the very end of the film too, where like the husband like gets tired of being like kind of pushed down on. He says
yeah.
he's been told he stinks like, throughout the movie, and then he kind of snaps and like kills the
Yeah.
the I guess I don't even say like the other husband,
Yeah.
the rich
Yeah.
husband, and I think that fallout is like so well done. And the very end of the movie is very heartbreaking too.
Because we got to
right?
talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
this. The ending is I don't know. It's different.
I like it so much.
Yeah.
Well, like, what about... because the ending could be perceived... Not perceived in the sense of like how it's taken, but like, what do you mean by the ending? Because there's different
Yeah.
parts of it, right? So I'm really
The
curious.
very ending
Yeah.
to me is, I think, what I'm talking about. What are you talking about here?
Well, I thought it just left a little bit up to the imagination.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where you're sold, you're like, wait, so he did get rich and he did buy the house, and then you realize, wait, is this a dream? It's just a thought. It was pretty awesome. I think they
Yeah.
ended it in the perfect way, really.
So that's how I had someone, actually, I think it was someone at work, brought up the same thing. Like, what do you think happened at the end? I took it as he was writing the letter, he was imagining what was happening. And in the end, that was just his goal, but it didn't happen yet. And he was
Yes.
hoping that
Yeah.
it would get to it. But it was super ambitious because obviously, I mean, you're looking at what, 5-10 plus years minimum
Yeah.
for them to be able to afford that. Like, you're talking
Yeah.
like long term, like
Yeah,
life
and
of like
only if he's
Yeah.
incredibly lucky.
exactly.
Yeah.
So to me, it was just more of like that was the dream as he was writing the letter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, that ending was taken as like that's what he wanted in his like his perfect brain was like saying this is what I'm going to do to save my dad. I'm going to go get rich, buy the house, free my dad.
Yeah.
But because of the actions that family took and the condition he was left in because of his brain surgery. All
Oh, right.
it can
Yeah.
be is in his head,
Yeah.
and he himself cannot act on that because he's
Yeah.
basically a tomato, right? Like
Yeah.
he can't do anything anymore.
A laughing tomato.
Yeah. It's like he laughed at his sister's death,
Yeah.
right? He has
Yeah,
no
that's crazy.
capability to become like get a college degree and do all
Yeah.
these things that he said he would do at the beginning of the movie. He's just like, this is what I want to do,
Right.
but I cannot do it
Yeah.
because I'm powerless now to do it because of my ambitions. I kind of flew too close to the sun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's just so much to this movie that I really like about it. Yeah. Nivala,
I think
any
it's a number one. I
think
don't know. See, this is the hard thing. Everyone always touches on everything I want to talk about.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just a number one for me.
Great.
Yep.
Sorry.
Was there even like I don't even think I have a negative thing to say about it. That's the thing. Like that's the other thing
Yeah.
too.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there's anything that stands out of maybe like it's just
Yeah.
I wouldn't say perfect film because it's hard. There's very limited perfect films in my mind.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like there's a thing I would say that was bad about this movie.
I think if there was a perfect film or whatever, like I could see it being in that category. There's like, again, there's nothing bad to say about it. Like it's really well crafted. I don't know what you'd say to say like, I wish they did this differently.
but you're like
It's just-
nitpicking. It's not an
Yeah,
obvious.
exactly.
Everyone agrees
So
upon
is there any
this.
nitpick? Is there any nitpicks of the
No,
movie?
that's the thing.
that
I
you-
don't even. I
Yeah.
don't even think I could even try to criticize something even super small.
I want to celebrate it too because it's like a foreign film,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's like holy shit! Like there is a
I love.
world.
I love
Yeah.
it. Love
Yeah,
it.
that's so good. Okay, I think we have our 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Crazy. Number 5, we have Joker. Number 4, we have 1917. Number 3, we have Knives Out. Number 2, we have Jojo Rabbit. And number 1, we have Avengers Endgame. Hello. It's Parasite. It's Parasite. Holy shit. That
Just
was
ruined that moment.
I have a letter. Let you guys have a little bit of a break here from former co-host of Ranked here, from Leslie Cherapy. This is what he had to
Nice.
say. I have not read this yet. He wrote me a novel. I'll try
Oh,
to
wow.
read it the
Okay.
best I can.
Very interested.
The following is a written statement from Leslie Cherapy that I, Tung La, have agreed to read in full in exchange for Mr. Cherapy's personal top 5 movies of the year. The following is the aforementioned statement. Hello, citizens of Ranked Nation. It's me, Playboy billionaire philanthropist of the podcast, Leslie Cherapy. You may be wondering why I, for the first time ever, am not on the annual Top 5 Movies of the Year episode. Well, Ranked Nation, it sickens me to say that I have been unjustly and illegally banned from the airways of Ranked at the disgusting hands of one Tung Thin Law. That's right, I used your full name. Okay, Tung Thin Law.
Is that a real middle name?
It is now. Well, it came as quite the surprise when I received a message from the supposed host that has ripped me brutally from your ears like a pup from their mother's teat, asking for my personal top 5 movies of 2019. The only reason I agreed was so that I could tell you, citizens of Ranked Nation, the real truth as to my absence from the podcast. Tung will try to distort your views of reality by saying I moved cities, and to that I say, for shame. Anyways, here are my top 5 movies of 2019. I missed a lot this year, unfortunately, and as I catch up, I'm sure it will change. But for now, this is my list. Number 5, The Irishman. Number 4, The Last Hour of Avengers Endgame.
Yes.
Amazing.
100% best part of that movie.
Number 3, Us. Number 2, Booksmart. And number 1, I Lost My Body.
Wow.
If you want to hear my voice once again in the PodCavern, I urge you to message Tung, tweet him, harass him on the street, don't do that, and make his life a living hell so that I may make my triumphant return and the Prince of Ranked Nation may once again sit on the throne. Thank you. Well, that is the end of the statement. Just to be clear, this is me, Tung La, host of the Ranked podcast speaking, and not Leslie Cherapy, whose statement has concluded. What Leslie said is true. I absolutely abused my authority in banning Leslie from the podcast, but I am a horrible person and feel no shame or regrets about it. That's damn right. I would also like to take this moment to say that the scenes with Tony Stark's dad in Endgame were unnecessary and should have been cut, and that I, Tung La,
interesting take.
wholeheartedly and unequivocally support ISIS. Thank you. Well, thanks, Leslie Cherapy.
Thanks, Leslie.
That last part was definitely
They
me.
sound like a treat.
Yeah, Leslie. Yeah, he knows me so well. I do support ISIS, and let's cut that part. Okay, we're going to go into our own honorable mentions. Wow, that was quite... Every year for the Movies podcast, Leslie always writes up a whole thing, so I'm glad I was able to be the voice of him. We still love you, Leslie, of course, but there's a reason you're cut. It's because we have Doug and Nell now and Nivala. So,
Dream team.
okay, so for honorable mentions,
Okay.
we are just going to go around the circle. I don't have to have the whole spiel of why you like the movie. Just say, if you have like a one sentence thing, go for it. But we're just going to try to rapid fire the movies that we have not given props to. Okay? So we'll go one at a time around the circle. And here we go. Of course, Avengers Endgame.
The Marriage Story.
Rocket Man.
Oh yeah.
Can I add why?
Yeah,
Yes.
go
I
ahead.
think the movie itself was not unbelievable. I thought it was good. It wasn't great, but the fact that he acted and sang everything, like unbelievable talent,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
blew me away
Great
of
point.
how much it actually felt like it engulfed Elton John. And
Yeah.
so just great story, great acting.
Agreed.
The Two Popes.
Oh,
Super engaged for two guys just chilling and talking. It was
wow.
awesome.
I think it's a super engaged for 2 minutes.
Oh, the whole time, man. What a great film.
Cool. Klaus.
Okay, I can never say this. Abominable.
Oh, that movie.
Yeah.
That's the animated one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm very curious as to why.
it was cute.
Just cute?
was
no,
just-
like
it was-
that seemed offensive. I didn't mean to be rude.
Yeah.
It was cute. Okay, so for animated movies this year was not the
Yeah.
year, I don't think, for animated movies.
For or at least original animated.
Yeah, and
movies.
so Abominable was cute. Like there was just a bunch of cute little elements in it. It was by Sony Pictures.
I don't know.
Sony.
Check out-
Sony.
If you like animated, check out Klaus. Really good. It's the
Yeah.
Christmas animated movie, but it's so
Right,
good.
okay, yeah.
So good. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Midsummer.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I didn't love it, but I appreciate it.
Little Women.
That's honestly, I wish I nominated it.
Really,
instead of
Yeah.
it
Avengers.
was. I must say, it was my favorite iteration of Little Women. But it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
something that just disappoints me every time.
The fact that you have iterations of the film
Yeah.
is what to me didn't even make it into the top 5, because it's like you're not even retelling a story. You're retelling a story that's been retold so many times.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It was great.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
just like it's not.
That's why I think because it told it in like a better way, like probably the best way
Oh,
that this
for
movie
sure,
has
the
been
best
told.
way.
That I think
Yeah.
and I just think Saoirse Ronan is just so.
Amazing.
And Timothy
My favorite
and
part
Laura
was when
Dern.
he was
Oh,
like,
good.
"Hi, I'm Lawrence, and who are you?" That was my favorite line.
Wait, whose turn is it?
Your turn.
My
Your
turn. Oh, okay, cool. Toy Story 4.
I do
really-
not like Toy Story.
Is it because it
4.
made you cry, or
No, it was
Did it
going
make-
great
there are
until
tears
the
in
end.
Toy Story 4?
I
I
think
didn't
so.
know.
We can talk about this after.
Yeah.
I really loved it.
Okay.
But it's no Toy Story 3, but I do love it a lot. Go ahead, Nivala.
Spies in Disguise.
Oh wow.
If you've seen the trailer, you're like, "Oh my goodness, what is this garbage?" But then you actually go and see the movie, and you're like, "Hey,
Who stars in it?
it's not that bad."
Smith.
Tom Holland and Will Smith.
Yeah.
Vocally, they
Oh.
star in it.
Yeah.
I missed this
Is
one.
it-
Sorry.
It's
Yeah.
when he gets turned into a
It's just
bird.
an animated movie.
Oh,
It's
okay, okay.
Is this maybe why you thought it was Slim Pickens, because all you saw was animated movies?
I did see real movies as well.
because she kept watching Dora on repeat.
Yeah. Dora 5 times.
Well, yeah, you know.
Doug, what do you have?
Lighthouse.
Yeah, that's
of
good.
course.
That was our mandate.
Yeah, that was our mandate.
I actually thought you were going to come out with Lighthouse.
Yeah, me too.
I
wanted
it
to.
is it's a top 10. I
Yeah.
really loved it.
Yeah, that was actually my number 10
Yeah.
of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but out there, the documentary American Factory.
Cool.
Have you guys seen
heard.
it?
Yeah.
haven't.
It is so interesting.
Please elaborate.
I was going to say,
Yeah, what is it?
I don't want to. I want you just to
What-
watch
like-
it.
Say it one more
Just,
time.
just a topic.
Yeah.
So
Please,
it was
don't
pro-
just say factory.
It was produced by the Obamas.
Oh,
Okay,
And it
okay.
looks at the differences between the China workforce and the American workforce.
Okay,
Okay.
cool, cool,
How
cool.
can they work together? How do they not work together? Just very, very eye-opening and interesting.
cool.
Cool.
That sounds really neat.
Also it talks a bit about like the Rust Belt, the auto industry,
Yeah.
which is another just interesting topic. So yeah,
Nice. I'm gonna go with Hustlers.
Really?
Yeah,
Really liked
definitely.
it, really
J-Lo
liked it.
fan did not enjoy it.
Oh,
Really? I thought so. When you brought up
No,
J-Lo earlier, I thought that was going to be
no.
one of the ones in there.
Why?
I thought
Why?
J-Lo was the best part of that movie,
Oh,
but
she
I
was.
just
She
I was
was.
just like I thought the story just sort of fell flat. It was just like, okay, this is how it's going, and then it was like all of a sudden this is how it is. And you know what? Maybe for me it was that Constance Wu was not as strong of an actor
Me
to sort of
too.
par up with Jennifer
J-Lo's
Lopez's
so good.
proposal.
I also watched the first half at work by
At
accident.
work.
I didn't know what it was. I really didn't know what it was about.
What do you mean by
Believe it or
accident?
not. Well, I just
Wait,
didn't.
at work?
Yeah,
he
I
watched
really
it at
did
work.
Over
not know-
lunch.
Yeah,
Over
over
lunch.
lunch. I really didn't know what it was about. I guess I should know by the title, but I
Yeah.
didn't. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to the corner and watch the So like people were like, Tuong, why aren't you sitting with us? I'm like, just go away. I'm just gonna watch J-Lo strip a little. Go ahead, Nivala.
Bombshell, actually.
Yeah.
I've heard
Yeah,
good
today.
things.
I thought the performances were
Performances are
really
good.
solid.
Oh yeah, the makeup
feel like it
amazing.
could have been better, but
Yeah.
Very
yeah.
realistic.
Yeah.
So here's
I think it's hard to do movies like that because it's so close. They're trying to get it as close to reality as possible without them getting slapped with a suit.
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
Slater and stuff,
yeah.
so.
Right.
I do
it's
think the
true.
performances are good. It felt like the movie ended and I was like, what? That's it? I guess
Yeah.
like it just, they told the story and that was it.
Yeah.
But I feel like
Yeah,
they could have
exactly.
they had an opportunity to say
Yeah.
more and they did not.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep. For sure.
Yesterday.
Oh,
never saw
I
it.
did not see that.
I love that movie. I thought
Just
it was great.
just a feel good.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
music's good. If you don't like the Beatles,
Yeah.
you can go die. But no, just like Rocket Man tipped it in terms of like those kind of movies this year because obviously the performance. But I don't know. Yesterday, just feel good, great, unique storytelling.
Cool.
Just really liked
yeah.
it.
Nice.
Yeah. Thought it was a great movie. Last one, The Farewell.
Yeah. I like that too. I loved the grandmother in that movie. She was really
Nine-Nine.
the Nine-Nine.
Nine-Nine.
I haven't
the
seen that one.
best.
Which is that one?
It's go ahead, Mel. You say
Okay,
it.
so it's about a cultural norm, I would say, where the grandma's dying and they decide not to tell her. And so they all go to visit her to say goodbye, but yet they won't tell her that she's dying. And it's kind of the internal conflict of Awkwafina, who stars in it, and she's really grappling with
okay,
herself.
yeah.
Should we tell her? Should we not?
It's like an American value clashing with an Eastern value
Yeah.
of just like the Eastern value is all about family and whatever. For me, like as an Asian person, surprise, it spoke to me because I feel like those people that were played on screen like were very similar to that culture
Yeah.
of thinking about like because it's all about like America thinking of like this is about me, but when a family member is dying, it's like no, let them be happy until the
Yeah.
very end kind of thing. So they kind of play out that.
Yeah.
That was your last one. How many more do you
Yeah,
guys
that's
have?
my last one.
That's my last one.
Doug, how many do you have?
I think I just got two more because I did like them. Didn't make the cut.
Go ahead.
Ford
say
versus
yours.
Ferrari.
Yep.
Thought was very strong.
Yep.
It's very good. But you have to like I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely tied to being interested in that story. I
Christian
think
Bale was
Yeah.
great.
yeah,
Yeah.
the acting was very good in that too.
Yep.
And a very I mean, if you're not going to see it, we're okay with spoilers. Like just a very frustrating ending.
So true.
That just I don't know, that adds to it because you just feel the pain.
Yeah.
And the last one, because I threw in a few horror ones, I really enjoyed It Chapter 2.
Oh.
I liked it more than the first one.
Oh, interesting.
I liked it more than the first one. It was messed up, and I can see why people
Yeah.
didn't like it, but I really liked it. But I mean, that's why it's like pretty low on the
Yeah,
honorable
yeah,
mentions.
Yeah.
I did like that too, but I did like it chapter 1 more. I think in chapter 2 it just ends with the exact same conflict like resolution. It's just
It
like
started off like
Yeah,
super messed
yeah,
up though. That was
it
the biggest
did.
thing. Like it's so dark.
yeah. I got a couple. I'm just gonna rattle them off here. Frozen 2 was fun. How to
Oh,
Train Your
yeah.
Dragon Hidden World was really fun. I Lost My Body is pretty good. It's on Netflix. I would recommend watching it. It's about a hand trying to find its original owner and the stories of that owner, essentially that the human.
Okay.
It's nice. It's only an hour and a half too, so nice and short. Let's see, Little Women, John Wick 3. Amazing time.
that was
Fucking
good. Yeah, that was
powerhouse.
fun.
Can't forget about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, just it's not a like John Wick movies. The story is whatever, but the fucking action is just so fun. I love that stuff. You're gonna say something about John Wick?
I'm just surprised it's even an honorable. Like it's good for what
love
it is, but it's just like there's no. So I agree. Like if
Yeah.
you're just from an action standpoint, sure, but there's just
Probably-
nothing
Yeah.
to it.
If anything,
and they're
yeah.
just throwing random shit in there to make the story work for whatever.
Yeah, I think to me like it is an action movie, and like I think John Wick is just one of those movies that is like kind of the forefront of how action movies should be moving forward, and I think it should be commended for that. Really, that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, for sure.
Marvel, Spider-Man. I really like Spider-Man Far From
Really?
Home. El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. Good Boys was fun. Between Two Ferns, the movie was fun. Dragon
could
Ball Z,
not-
Broly.
Could not get into
I think Tongue is just listing every
Every
single
I know,
single
you
movie
can't
that I
just you
saw.
can't just list all the movies you saw
Every
as
single
honorable
movie.
mentions.
Listen, I've seen way more than this.
Yeah, don't talk about those 18 plus
Surprising
ones.
movies. Yeah, you'll have to have my. Never mind. Laura's here. I did have fun with Zombieland 2 Double Tap, and the other day I watched Cats at the Yowling edition, where you get to yell at the screen with an audience member, and it was a lot of fun. Terrible movie. Don't see it on your own. Don't see it like in like a Cineplex. Go to one of those like theaters, like the Princess in Waterloo or Mayfair, like one of those like. Local theaters, and see it with an audience that is ready to just rip on it, and it's just a fun time. Trust me.
I just wonder what motivated them to make Cats, the live action.
Can I give you a
Money,
spoilers in Cats?
money.
I'll give you a spoilers in Cats. The mice have human heads. The cockroaches in the movie have human heads.
The cats have cat heads.
The cats have cat heads, but they have the human face, right? Like it's
Right.
just
Okay.
so bizarre. Dishonorable mention was Hellboy. Fucking terrible movie.
Dishonorable Cats?
Yeah.
Cats is at a higher level
Absolutely.
than Hellboy.
Absolutely. Cats was a fun movie. Hellboy's a bad movie. Now we are at the end of the show. Holy shit, we've been talking for a while. Always happens in the top 5 movies of the year episode.
Top five.
Nivala, thank you for being on the
Oh,
cast.
thanks for having me. Everyone go see Dora
Go see Dora, that's right.
when
Nivala,
it comes on Netflix.
I'm surprised it's not already on Netflix, truthfully. Maybe on Amazon or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, I don't know because isn't Netflix doing a deal with Nickelodeon? So maybe in the
Maybe
future.
one day, yes.
Fingers crossed.
Nivala, do you have anything else to plug in the world?
Oh, okay. Listen, Australia has been devastated by some wildfires, and I feel real bad for all the animals there. So if you want to donate to the Worldwide Wildlife Fund, I always have to, because I'm always like WWF. That would be great.
Yeah,
You know.
that's a great cause. Thank you,
Yeah.
Nivala.
Thanks. So wait, can I also plug Laura's unpacking boxes? I really enjoy those.
Yeah.
And there haven't been a whole lot of them lately.
Laura, do you hear that? You haven't done unboxing in a while.
Yeah. They're my favorite.
gotten me any boxes in a while.
We'll get you a box.
Yes.
Doug, thank you for being on the cast. Very first time.
Yeah, it was great.
Glad to witness your very first podcast. Do you have anything to plug in the world?
Well, mine's going to seem like so much lesser than
Oh.
the importance of the Australian wildfires. No, it's funny. You brought up Princess. I think supporting local businesses, but
Oh, my
specifically when it comes to, I mean, this is about movies, but I think there's something special about, I mean, in Waterloo specifically, the Princess Twin, where you just have that small theater feel. It's, it just feels right
Yes.
when you go to this movie. And so I think there's something special. I mean, Apollo Theater in Kitchener, there's something special about these non-mainstream theaters. And I think people don't realize how many there actually are around, and look around wherever you are, try and find those, support those businesses. And it's a different experience, and it's better.
And they have better popcorn usually. And those theaters, like, you also get to go to the people that want to watch the film. They're
was
people
gonna
who
say-
love movies, not the people
you
who are
don't-
like
you don't get-
texting all the time.
You don't
If
get
not-
frustrated with.
well,
Yeah.
If not for the smaller theaters, we would not have our top rated film.
Yeah.
Cats?
We would no Parasite.
Parasite. Well,
Doug.
even was JoJo even mainstream?
Oh yeah. Also,
Hey,
JoJo was
wasn't
not
there.
mainstream.
Knives Out was mainstream, but definitely even
it
less
was
scale.
limited
It was
release,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even like you looking at our top 3,
Yeah.
like 2.5
Yeah.
weren't even really mainstream theaters.
Exactly.
So
Up until recently, because everything's back out in theaters now. Mel.
I have nothing to plug. I just think everyone should be a bit more easier on themselves and drink more water going into 2020.
Yeah.
as we're drinking beer,
Yeah.
Yes, they can't see that. I am drinking a green spinach drink right now. You don't see it. Now, for me, you can find the rest of the shows on the PodCavern. This is Ranked Top 5 List of Stuff That Don't Matter. We have the Improv Punch Up, Heroes Don't Do Paperwork, Talking Tongue. We're going to try to do another Cinema Saves the World soon. Soon. Yeah, I don't know what that's going to be. Hopefully, we can raise money for
Toy
something.
Story 1, 2, 3, and 4.
That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. Well, I'm going to brainstorm this and we'll figure out.
He's
'cause
like,
I can't-
no.
No, I want to do that one. And I think in the spirit of PodCavern's birthday, this is the third birthday, so we're on our fourth year now. Just be a little kinder to each other. Life is short. We are recording this on the very sad day of Kobe Bryant just
bring
of
that
his
up.
death. And it just reminds me of just like life is short. So spend a little time being kinder to one another and watch as many movies as we can. I'm being very uncharacteristically sweet right now, so fuck you, PodCavern. No, I'm just kidding. Be nice.
I'm never coming back.
I love you all, and we'll see you next time on Ranked. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.